Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has incredible power of Jianga part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Konoha Sandame's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi was a tired man. He had retaken the position of Hokage only a year ago, after his successor, now predecessor, Minato Namikaze, died after the disaster that was the Kyuubi attack. Hiruzen sighed as he gazed at the picture of the blonde man. Why did he die when he had so much to live for? He remembered the night clearly. He was sitting in his office writing in his journal while his wife, Biwako, Minato, and his wife Kushina were in a secret location so Kushina could give birth. Kushina was a Jinchuriki, a container of one of the 9 bijou of the Kyuubi. And when a female Jinchuriki goes into labor, the energy holding their seal together weakens and the bijou has a chance to go free. Minato, being the expert seal master that he is, was in charge of holding the seal together while Kushina was giving birth. Everything was set up perfectly. However, something happened and the Kyuubi was freed. And it severely damaged the village, and killed countless civilians and shinobi alike. Minato was able to take the bijou out of the village, and seal it away, inside his own son no less. Hiruzen was forced to witness the sealing as Minato put up a barrier around him, Kushina, Kyuubi, and their son Naruto. The Sandame was confused as to why Minato felt that he had to do the sealing. He knew how to perform the Reaper Death Seal. All Minato would have to do would be putting the 8 trigram seal, and he would be able to live with his family. But then again, he never did tell anyone that he could do the Reaper Death Seal now that he thinks about it. When the barrier was lifted, Minato was already dead. The Reaper Death Seal, which summoned the Shinigami, had taken his soul as payment for the sealing, but Kushina was still hanging on to what little life remained within her. The Kyuubi had pierced both her and Minato when it attempted to strike Naruto and prevent itself from being sealed. Both parents had sacrificed themselves to protect their child. Kushina was able to tell Hiruzen Naruto's name, and that both she and Minato wanted him to protect their child. Both of them were dead with a smile on their faces. Hiruzen knew that Jinchuriki were treated harshly, but because Kushina's status as one was kept a tight secret, he didn't know how harshly. The meeting that followed changed everything, for both him and Naruto. Flashback Council Chambers 1 year ago. There will be order in this room, Hiruzen yelled as the chaotic sounds threatened to make everyone deaf, especially from the civilian side. Everyone was silent at the Sandame's voice, not to mention the annoyed glare he was sending to people he knew would cause problems. A baby Naruto was in his arms as he, somehow, slept through the noise that was the council. Sandame-sama, how can you expect us to be calm at a time like this? We've only just survived a crisis, a civilian member pointed out. I understand that you are all still nervous, Hiruzen said. However, we will not be acting like children who were just let out for recess. Where is Minato-sama? Hayashi Hyuga asked, pointing out the absence of their yandame. Everyone else had noticed this as well and began asking where he was. Hiruzen let out a deep sigh and began, Minato has died sealing the Kyuubi. Sealing it where? Shikakunara asked. Hiruzen knew he was going to regret this, inside this little boy. Almost immediately, the entire civilian side of the council erupted into chaos. It's the demon! Kill it now before it's too late. The yandame turned it into a baby so we could have our revenge. Silence! Hiruzen yelled, using chakra to make his voice louder than necessary. The civilians quieted down, but sent intense glares towards the baby. Naruto was able to feel the glares and shifted uncomfortably in Hiruzen's arms, his face twitching with fear. Seeing this, Hiruzen slowly rocked his arms in an attempt to soothe the baby. Naruto stopped squirming, but was still looking afraid. Hiruzen called over an ANB with a horse mask, and handed Naruto to him. This boy is Minato's legacy. He sealed the Kyuubi inside him so that he could use its power to defend Konoha. He is not the demon, Hiruzen said with a glare. Hayashi noticed something familiar about the boy, especially his blue eyes, and made a note to talk to the Sandame later. Effective immediately, I shall be reinstated as the Hokage. And everything that has been said in this room about the Kyuubi is to be an S-rank secret punishable by death, the Sandame declared with a heated glare. Die Kyuubi! While everyone had their attention on the Sandame's declaration, nobody noticed a civilian council member sneaking behind Horse and knocked him over, grabbed Naruto, and used the knife he had on him to attack Naruto. However, because of his shaking nerves, he cut Naruto from his right shoulder down to his hip, slicing the boy into 2 pieces. Hiruzen was instantly upon the boy, using what little healing knowledge he had to try and help him. Uma had his kunai piercing the councilman's throat, killing him instantly. all while Naruto was crying loudly from the pain and from the red aura that was surrounding him. Instantly, the civilians began to panic. The demon's going to kill us all. Finish it now, you old fool. The Sandaime began barking orders. Bird, get everyone out of here. Hayashi, Shikaku, Choza, and Inoichi stay. Rabbit, get me an available medic neem. Horse, make sure that we have no more attacks. Go! All three ANBU jumped into action. Bird shoved all of the uncooperative civilians out of the door while the clan heads went silently. Some of the civilians had to be threatened with the ANBU's tanto. Rabbit had jumped out of the window and raced towards the hospital, hoping that there was a medic available. Meanwhile, Hiruzen was desperately trying to slow down the bleeding with the Mystic Palm Jutsu. While he was able to use it to a decent degree, he was only able to slow down the bleeding to a small amount. What can we do? Choza Kimichi asked. Unless any of us knows a healing jutsu that is more powerful than what the Hokage's using, then there's nothing that can be done, Hayashi said. This is extremely troublesome, Shikaku said as he stood wide awake. I'm afraid that you're right, Inoichi Yamanaka sighed as he looked away from the crying baby. Inside the seal. The Kyuubi was growling in frustration as it pushed its chakra through the seal into his container's body. His 9 tails were waving around in a frenzied manner, showing his hidden nervousness. Human stupidity will never cease to amaze me, Kyuubi growled as one of its tails began to slowly shrink. That Hokage of theirs better come up with something soon. I don't know how long I will be able to do this, he muttered as he continued to push chakra through the cage. Council chamber. Hokage-sama, Rabbit said as he appeared back into the room. There is no available medic, they are all treating victims of the Kyuubi attack. The Hokage cursed as he continued working while sweat began to gather on his brow. He had used too much chakra during the attack and was starting to feel the strain. Horse, carry Naruto while I continue to heal him. Everyone, come with us into my office. Rabbit, head back out into the village and try to find any more survivors, the Hokage said while Horse carefully picked up the wailing boy. Rabbit bowed and vanished in a puff of smoke. And please pick up his arm, he added. Inoichi decided to pick up the dismembered appendage since he's seen worse things in the minds of prisoners. The party of 7 slowly made their way to the Hokage's office. Choza opened the door and everyone entered. Hayashi, can you take over the healing while I get what may be able to save him? Horse, I want you to stand guard and make sure that nobody interrupts us. I don't care if it's the Rakuta Sennin himself. Nobody enters. Hiruzen asked. Hayashi nodded and activated his Byakugan while using the healing jutsu his wife had taught him. While Horse handed the crying Naruto to Choza before he exited the room. Let's be thankful that Hitomi taught you a couple of her healing jutsus, Shikaku said as he watched the healing. Hayashi just nodded as he kept concentrating. Hiruzen walked towards the picture of the Shodaime, Hashirama Senju, and picked it off of the wall, revealing a small seal on the wall. He bit his thumb and made a few hand signs and smeared his blood on the wall. In a puff of smoke came a medium-sized scroll. He placed the scroll on his desk and began to unravel it, searching through the scroll desperately. Here it is! Hiruzen shouted triumphantly while spreading more of the scroll out, revealing what appeared to be a sealing formula. What is it? Shikaku asked as he looked at the scroll. The only thing that may be able to save Naruto, Hiruzen said. Bring him over here. Choza and Hayashi slowly walked over and placed Naruto on the desk. Inoichi placed his dismembered arm next to him. What I'm going to need of all of you is that you channel your chakra through Naruto when I activate this, Hiruzen said as he beckoned everyone around the boy. Hayashi was still healing him, but the injury was starting to get worse. The clan heads and the Hokage placed their hands around the boy and began molding their chakra. Please forgive me, Minato, but if I don't do this, Naruto will die. Hiruzen apologized in his thoughts. The Sandaime then made several hand sighs before ending on dragon and shouting, Kinjutsu, Jiangu transfer. The scroll began to glow, and hundreds of black tendrils erupted from the seal before they lunged towards Naruto and began to burrow their way inside his body. Everyone began to feel a drain on their chakra and saw that the tendrils were touching their hands while absorbing the chakra at a fast pace. Eventually, Hiruzen dropped down to one knee as he ran out of chakra to give. Following him was Shikaku, Inoichi, and Hayashi. Choza was able to hang on for a little while longer before he had to pull back, his face covered in sweat. Everyone was forced to watch as Naruto was enveloped in red chakra that the tendrils were also absorbing. They were slowly turning a crimson color as the chakra was absorbed. Inside the seal. Even the Kyuubi was feeling the drain on its chakra as the tendrils began to nestline Naruto's body. All that he had left was 2 tails worth of chakra. This may be draining, but I can see the benefits that this will give the kit. Kyubi noted as he observed the changes going through Naruto's body. It's done, but I'm going to have to sleep for a while because of this, the chakra beast mumbled as he laid his head on his paws and began to close his eyes. Before he closed his eyes, he thought, I'm interested in seeing how this will play out in the future. I've got my eye on you, Kit. With that, the Kyubi closed his eyes and entered a well-deserved rest. Outside, everyone was taking deep breaths as they tried to recover some of their chakra. They looked and saw that the tendrils had stopped moving through the boy's body, but several of them were still wiggling out of the space where he was dismembered. The tendrils shot out and grabbed his arm before pulling it towards him and stitching the arm back to his body. The arm began to move around as Naruto began to use it normally. He was still crying due to all that happened. What was that? Inoichi asked as he shakily got to his feet. Hiruzen used his desk to get up and said, a kinjutsu that the Shodaime stole from Taki after they tried to assassinate him. What does it do? Shikaka asked as he observed the now sleeping blonde. It turns the person using it into a host for thread-like tendrils and gives them a wide range of abilities, the Hokage explained. What kind of abilities? Shikaku inquired. The Sandaime took a deep breath before starting. It will allow Naruto to absorb the hearts of his enemies and gain their elemental affinity, plus the knowledge of whatever jutsu they might know. I'll have to look through the scroll for any more information. As if he didn't have enough of a burden already, Choza sighed as he pitied Naruto. It wasn't even 2 hours after his birth, and already his life was being turned upside down. There is a question I have for you, Hokage-sama, Hayashi started. Yes? What is it, Hayashi? Hiruzen asked. Is this boy Minato and Kushina's child? Hayashi asked. Hiruzen's eyes widened along with Choza's and Inoichi's. Shikaku just closed his eyes and muttered troublesome under his breath. The Sandaime reached under his desk and activated the privacy seals that closed off the room from anyone outside. How did you figure that out? Hiruzen asked. 2 things stood out to me, Hayashi began. 1. I noticed that Naruto had very distinctive blonde color in his hair, and that his blue eyes were almost exactly like Minato's. And 2. I knew Minato since he was my teammate. He would never ask anyone to give up their child if he was unable to give up his own. Hiruzen sighed as he closed his eyes. Yes, Kushina told me that this was their son, just moments before she moved on. She asked me to protect him to the best of my ability. However, I can't do too much without making it look like favoritism. He could enter one of our clans. After all, we were all friends with Minato and we would want to make sure that his son would be taken care of, Choza suggested. Unfortunately, I can't allow that, the Sandaime said. Why not? Don't you want the best for Minato's son? Inoichi asked. The Sandaime sighed, feeling his age as the years began to weigh down on his body. I can't allow it because if I were to give one clan a Jinchuriki, it would cause a shift in power and create a civil war over who would own Naruto. As much as I hate to admit it, he's right. Even though we all want to help Naruto, we need to think about what would happen in the future, Shikaka stated. What about Kakashi? Shouldn't we tell him about who Naruto is? Hayashi asked. No, think about it. He's already in a depression because he lost both his sensei and Kushina. If he tell him now, he'll fight tooth and nail just to claim ownership of him and practically make him a target because all of the other villages will think that the copycat ninja is training an apprentice, Shikaka said. When will he be told? Choza asked. After he gets out of his depression, he'll be able to handle the situation better when he has a clear head, the Sandaime said. What can we do to help Naruto then? I don't want him to have to go through life without someone to properly help him. You know that those civilians won't keep quiet with the news that he's the Jinchuriki, Inoichi said. Hiruzen put his hand to his chin and said, You 3 have children, correct? The Inoshikacho trio nodded. And your wife is expecting in 2 months, right? Hayashi nodded his head. Then you can push your children to become his friends. Kami knows that he'll need plenty of close friends throughout his life. All men nodded in agreement. Now I believe it's time we return for the night. Hayashi, could you send Hitomi to me tomorrow? I would like a woman's opinion on how Naruto should be cared for since I'll be taking care of him until the orphanage is repaired, Hiruzen said. Would you like me to tell her about what happened tonight? Hayashi asked. The Sandaime shook his head and said, I'll take on that task. You all need your rest if you want to lead your clans through this crisis. I trust that you all know not to speak about the events that happened in this office? The only reason I'm trusting you with this information is because you were all Minato's closest friends. No, Hokage-sama, all 4 men said. The Hokage then lifted the privacy seals and dismissed the men before he wrapped Naruto in a cloth and held him in his arms, slowly rocking him to sleep. Flashback end. The Sandaime shook his head to get out of his remembering. He looked at the time and saw that it was almost 2 o'clock. Time to see how he's doing, Hiruzen thought as he stood up. The date was October 10th, the Kyuubi festival, or Naruto's birthday to those that cared. The Hokage left the Hokage Tower and walked towards the orphanage that Naruto was placed in. He and the 4 clan heads were planning to spend the day with Naruto while he played with their children. As Hiruzen walked into the orphanage, the caretaker immediately bowed to him. Hokage-sama. We weren't expecting you, the woman said. Hiruzen waved her off and said, Yes, fine, I was just stopping by to pick up someone. A Naruto Uzumaki? He didn't miss the flash of disgust that passed through the caretaker's face once his name was mentioned. She quickly put on a forced smile and led the Hokage to a room where a small crib was. Inside the crib was a tiny baby with blonde hair and blue eyes. Hiruzen noticed that he was unhealthily thin, and that there were faded bruises on his body. Why is he so thin? And covered in bruises? The Hokage asked, already knowing that the woman would lie. Hiruzen must have been a fortune teller, because the woman said, he refuses to eat most of the food we give him, and the bruises are because he keeps bumping into things when he crawls around. So you just let him crawl around unsupervised? Hiruzen asked, raising an eyebrow to make it look like he was believing the tall tale. Of course not, those are from when he gets out of his crib when he's supposed to be napping, the caretaker said as she believed that the Hokage believed her. Hiruzen knew just how to do 2 things, make Naruto happy and piss off the caretaker that was clearly doing her job to care for all children. Well, it looks like you're a little genius, aren't you, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen said as he picked up Naruto. The small baby just looked at him with a small hint of fear on his face, something that didn't escape the aged Hokage's eyes. Well, we better get going, there are some people expecting us, Hiruzen said as he took Naruto in his arms and left the orphanage, leaving behind a fuming caretaker. She was hoping that the Hokage would get angry at the boy for the lies that she was telling him, but she didn't know that a shinobi was trained to detect lies. Only a trained shinobi could truly hide the truth from the lies. The Hokage then performed a shunshin and appeared at the Akimichi compound where Naruto was welcomed openly. He walked into a large, small in Akimichi standards, dining room where waiting for him was the Ino Shikicho trio and their children, and Hayashi, Hitomi, and Hinata Hyuga were also present. All of the children were in a small play area surrounded by a fence. Like his father, Shikamaru Nara was sleeping in a pile of stuffed animals. Choji Akimichi and Ino Yamanaka were playing with some building blocks, a small smile on their faces. Hinata was just sitting by herself while playing with a small stuffed fox and monkey. Hiruzen walked over to the children and placed Naruto in the play area, where he just nervously crawled over to the pile of stuffed animals and timidly picked up a stuffed from before hugging it gently. All of the adults watched as Naruto moved to a far corner and continued to hug the frog like it was a shield. Hiruzen saw how he would look at the other children with some fear in his eyes. Obviously there was more going on in the orphanage than he was aware of. I've failed all 3 of them, Hiruzen softly whispered. What are you talking about, Hokage-sama? Inoichi asked. Hiruzen sighed and said, it appears that Naruto has had poor treatment in the orphanage. When I picked him up, he was very thin and there were bruises that were slowly healing. How can you allow them to continue doing this to him? Hitomi demanded with a glare. Hiruzen cringed at the woman's glare and said, I've had all the civilians who attempted to assassinate him executed, but I can't do anything to the people who work in the orphanage because it's controlled by the civilian council. All we can do is make sure that he gets the bonds that he needs, Choza said. Hey, look at this, Shikaka said, lazily pointing at the play area. All the adults looked and saw what was happening. Hinata had crawled over to Naruto and held out the stuffed fox for him to play with. Naruto looked at the fox before gently taking it. He then held out the stuffed frog for her to take, but Hinata just shook her head and gave him a small smile. Naruto then gave a small smile of his own before he started to play with Hinata. Kawaii. Hitomi softly squealed at the cute sight. Hiruzen chuckled and turned towards Hayashi before asking, weren't you and Minato planning on a betrothal between your children? Yes, but we were planning on going over the details after Naruto's birth since he had no free time to spare beforehand, Hayashi said. Me and Kushina-chan supported it, Hitomi said. Did you think that they would like each other? Inoichi asked. Think? We knew that they would. Mother's intuition after all, Hitomi declared proudly. Shikaka sighed and said, troublesome, women just seem to know almost everything about their children. Well, they did give birth to them, Choza pointed out. Has there been any changes with his Jiangu? Hayashi asked. Hiruzen shook his head and said, the stitching is still there, and some of the threads will wiggle out of his skin every once in a while, but there has been nothing else. Why doesn't the stitching go away? Hitomi asked. It stays there because the jiangu allows the user to extend their limbs where they are stitched together, Hiruzen explained. When do you plan on telling him about it? Or the Kyuubi? Inoichi asked. I think I'll tell him about jiangu when he's either 4 or 5. Of course, I'll have to come up with a cover story. He'll learn about the fox and the real reason he got jiangu when he's a genin, Hiruzen said. That seems like a good idea, Shikaka said. Most clan children start training around that age, so he'll be just like them. And he'll probably be mature enough to handle the knowledge that he's a Jinchuriki when he's a genin. But what if someone tells him about the Kyuubi beforehand? We'll cross that bridge if it comes to that, Choza said. Choza's right, we shouldn't worry about that right now. We should be celebrating Naruto's birthday, Hiruzen said. You know, speaking of telling people things, what are we going to do about Kakashi? Inoichi asked. He's still in depression. And it seems like he's taken a part of his lost team and made them as his own hobbies, Hitomi told him. Obito's chronic lateness and Sharingan, Choza said. Rin's concern for teammates, Shikaka said. Though he's not as worrisome as she was. And Minato's love for Jiraiya's books, though he only reads the smut while Minato just read his adventure story, Hiruzen said. Inside he was crying, I can't believe I had to call his holy work smut. Inoichi sighed and muttered, at this rate, he'll never know about Naruto's heritage. Not unless we stick Naruto next to a picture of his father, Hitomi said. I believe it's time we bring out the food, Choza said as he clapped his hands. Several servants came out with dishes in their hands. They set the table for all of the adults and children. All of the adults picked up their children from the play area and placed them next to them. Naruto was sitting next to Hiruzen and stared at the food hungrily. I was right, Hiruzen muttered as he saw how hungry Naruto was. Grrrr. Choza, Inoichi scolded. It wasn't me. The Akimichi head protested. Hitomi began to giggle behind her hand while Hayashi was fighting a smirk that was forming on his face. Something you'd like to share, Hitomi? Shikaka asked. That was Hinata's stomach. Hitomi laughed. A few moments later, everyone was laughing at that little piece of information, though Hayashi was just chuckling. Now that I think about it, Inoichi began, it's a good thing Minato was your teammate Hayashi. How so? The Hyuga head asked. Back when we were in the academy, you were as cold as your father was. When you trained with Minato, you began to open up more, not to mention you were starting to smile instead of just giving everyone either a cold glare or an arrogant smirk, Inoichi explained. Hayashi sighed and said I still have to act like a cold bastard with a stick up my arse around the Hyuga elders so they think I'm still the Hyuga image of perfection instead of how I am now. You must be an amazing actor then, Hiruzen said. Well, Jiraiya-sensei did make me the inside man when we would perform an infiltration mission, Hayashi explained. Minato-kun was a horrible actor, Hitomi remarked. Everyone nodded in agreement. Hiruzen looked down at his plate and saw that Naruto was practically inhaling whatever food he could reach. Choza, I think there's someone who could eat more than an Akimichi, Hiruzen said. Choza looked over and saw that Naruto was eating at a fast pace. Oh hell no! I'm not losing my title of biggest eater to a baby of all things. With that, Choza began to eat whatever food he could grab. Hitomi had to smack his hand away when he tried to grab a portion of Hinata's. After several minutes of watching the two, Naruto was eventually defeated by the round man. The small blonde yawned before he fell asleep in his chair. Oh Kami, he's going to eat everyone out of house and home, Hitomi cried. Please, just wait until he's introduced to ramen, then we can worry, Shikaka pointed out. It's a cursed Uzumaki gene to love ramen, Hiruzen said. It also doesn't help that Minato was a ramen addict himself. So throughout the night, all of the adults talked about Minato, and how they expected Naruto to be just like him. Inoichi pointed out that the Uzumaki personality would always be the dominant thing in his life, making them shiver at the pranks he would perform in the future. They just hoped that they wouldn't be targets of any of them, though Hayashi said he wouldn't mind if he targeted the Hyuga elders for any of them. Later into the evening, Hiruzen received a message from a small green frog with violet markings. News from Jiraiya, Hiruzen announced. He said that he's convinced Tsunade to come back to Konoha. But it will take them about 7 months because they are on the far side of Yuki, and the boats are in need of repairs. Tsunade-sensei is coming back? Hitomi asked, surprised. How did you convince her? Shikaka asked. I had Jiraiya tell her about Naruto, and I decided to allow her idea of there being a medic nin on each team with her running the training program, Hiruzen said. When did you send Jiraiya after her? Choza asked. It was a month after Naruto was born. He had heard about the attack and raced all the way here from IWA. He made it here in 2 days. But it takes at least 2 months to get from IWA to Konoha, Inoichi yelled. Gamabunta, was all that Hiruzen said. Everyone nodded in understanding. They knew that the Toad boss could cover great distances easily, especially if motivated with sake. Later into the night, all the children had fallen asleep, so the adults bid each other goodbye and left to their respective homes. Hiruzen dropped Naruto off back in the orphanage and signaled his personal ANBU guard. Hokage-sama, Cat and Tiger knelt down before their leader. Make sure that nothing happens to Naruto tonight. If anyone comes after him, bring him directly to me, Hiruzen commanded. Hi, Hokage-sama, both ANBU said before they jumped back into the shadows. Hiruzen let out a sigh as he adjusted the hat and began walking to the Sarutobi compound. His thoughts directed towards the future. Konoha 4 years after Kyuubi attack. Naruto Uzumaki didn't live a good life. He was ignored by most of the kids his age, and hated by most of the adults. The only ones that didn't hate him were the Hokage, and the Ichirakus who ran the ramen stand. He never understood what made him so unlikable to many people. He tried to be nice to others, but they still ignored him. He used to think that it was because of the strange stitches on his side, but then realized that it would be stupid to hate someone because of that. He learned that he would have to hide his sadness since he saw that people seemed to enjoy seeing him suffer. So he just gave everyone a big grin with closed eyes. He kept his eyes closed because he knew that no matter what he did, he couldn't hide the sadness that would show. Currently, Naruto was on his way back to the orphanage after spending the day at Ichiraku. He ate as much ramen as possible without spending all his money. He snuck back and through a hole in his room before covering it back up with a small rug. Naruto sighed as he climbed back into his rickety bed and closed his eyes. However, before he could fall asleep, he was yanked out of bed by someone. He looked up and saw that it was the caretaker that was dragging him by his arm. Hey! Let me go! Naruto cried as he started to struggle, only to get punched in the head by the woman. Shut up, you little monster! The nasty woman growled as she opened the door to the orphanage. She then proceeded to throw Naruto into the cold winter night. You've overstayed your welcome here. Now leave and don't come back. With that, she slammed the door in Naruto's face. Naruto just sat there in shock, still processing what had just happened. When he realized that he was just kicked out of the orphanage, he stood up and began to walk into the dark streets of Konoha. The young Uzumaki kept to the alleyways since he knew that it would be a very bad idea to walk out in the open. He wanted to go to Ichiraku's but knew that they would be closed at this hour. He thought about going to the Hokage, however he decided that since he hasn't seen him in over a month that he was very busy. Naruto eventually found a small cardboard box that was under an awning. Naruto decided to make it his new home. So the young boy crawled inside and curled himself into a tiny ball before falling asleep. Tusan Kachan, please help me, were the last thought Naruto had before succumbing to a dreamless sleep. Hokage's office. Curse this damn paperwork. Where does it keep coming from? How the hell did Minato get it done so fast? Hiruzen thought as he went through each paper, trying to finish up quickly so he could try to go and see Naruto. He and the clan heads weren't able to make another meeting after the one where Naruto was only 1 year old. Those damned council members on the civilian side are keeping me away from Naruto too much, Hiruzen growled as he finished what he considered the last paper for the evening. He sighed as he leaned back into his chair, thinking about how lonely Naruto might have been. He took out his crystal ball and used it to try and find Naruto. First he looked at his room in the orphanage, but it was surprisingly bare of everything. What? Hiruzen screamed as he shifted the view around the orphanage until he saw the caretaker throwing all of Naruto's stuff into a bonfire. Hiruzen growled as he desperately searched with his crystal ball for Naruto. The image kept changing to different places in Konoha, but couldn't find him. This is not good, the Sandaime said as he summoned an Anbu. Get me Hayashi Hyuga, Shikaku Nara, Choza Akimichi, and Inoichi Yamanaka, Hiruzen ordered. Hi Hokage-sama, the Anbu said as he vanished in a puff of smoke. Several minutes later, the aforementioned men walked round the door and saw that their leader was in distress. You called for us, Hokage-sama? Shikaku asked. Hi, I wish it was on better terms, but I have some grave news, Hiruzen said as he sighed. What is it? Choza asked. Naruto's gone missing, Hiruzen said. That shocked all of the clan heads to the core. What happened? Hayashi growled. He had already lost his brother earlier in the year, and maybe the respect of his nephew. He wasn't going to lose the only connection with his best friend. I suspect that he was kicked out of the orphanage tonight, but I haven't been able to locate him at all, and I've been looking through the crystal ball for the past half hour, Hiruzen said. You know for a fact that Tsunade is going to thrash people for this when she gets back from that gambling fair, Choza said. Maybe we could blame it on Orochimaru, that'll take care of a problem for us, Shikaka muttered. They all shared a chuckle at that before turning serious again. Do you want us to go and try to find him? Choza asked. Hiruzen shook his head and said, You should just send out your most trusted clan members, or in Hayashi's case, most trusted branch members. It would look too suspicious if you were to go out and look yourselves. Yeah, but we're going to leave Tsunade to you, Inoichi said as he and the other clan heads rushed out of the room before Hiruzen could protest. I'd better start going over my will, the Sandaime thought as he reached into his desk and pulled out a scroll. I, Hiruzen Sarutobi, hereby leave my entire Ika Paradise collection to my son Asuma Sarutobi. 1 month later. Needless to say, Tsunade was royally pissed, and the Hokage didn't die. Though he was admitted to the hospital for a week after Tsunade put some strain on his old heart, and then making him completely better. Naruto was found at this time. Tsunade was on another search for him when she heard crying coming from an alleyway. Inside the alley was everyone's favorite blonde, besides me, crying in his sleep. Tsunade brought him to the Sandaime who, after managing to convince Naruto, got the young Uzumaki a small apartment. Tsunade wanted to adopt him, but that fell under the jurisdiction of the Civilian Council, who made it their life's mission to make Naruto's life a living hell. Currently, Naruto was in his bedroom asleep in his bed. His life had gotten somewhat better when the Hokage got him his apartment. It wasn't much, but it was more than he ever had. There were 3 rooms, his bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom, all of them being something that he appreciated when he started living here. Naruto woke up to the sunlight managing to find its way to his closed eyes. The young blonde rubbed his eyes and slowly got out of bed. He made his way to the bathroom where he proceeded to splash his face with cold water to effectively wake him up. He then went back into his bedroom and changed into his black shirt with a red spiral on it, and some forest green shorts. I'm hungry, Naruto mumbled as he walked into the kitchen and pulled out a bowl, some cereal, and a gallon of milk. After having a filling breakfast, Naruto then went out to his balcony and took in the fresh air. What a nice day. I think I'm gonna go and see how Gigi's doing, Naruto said as he ran back inside and put on his sandals before running out and locking the door behind him. Naruto then proceeded to run towards the Hokage tower where he knew the Hokage would be, especially since it was almost 10 o'clock in the morning. I wonder if I can get him teach me some jutsu today? Naruto wondered as he walked down the street. He continued on his way until he felt the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. He started to look around and saw that the people were either ignoring his existence, or glaring at him with pure hatred. Naruto just put on a smile and continued walking down the street. Deep down, those glares did affect him, but he had no other idea of how else to deal with it. However, today was going to change Naruto's life. As soon as he passed an alleyway, he was grabbed and pulled inside. Before he could scream out, he felt a pain on the back of his neck before everything went dark. Sometime later, Naruto groggily opened his eyes and saw that he was in a forested area tied to a wooden post. He looked around frantically and tried to get free of his bonds. So you're awake, a voice said. Naruto turned his head to see a young man with black hair and dark eyes. He was dressed in a regular Chunin's attire, and had nothing standing out. What do you want? Naruto asked, afraid of what this man wanted from him. I want my revenge. You killed a lot of my friends and I'm gonna avenge them, the Chunin said as he stalked forward, kunai in hand. But I didn't kill anybody, Naruto protested as he struggled harder. Yes you did, you demon! The Chunin shouted, losing all of his composure. You crushed hundreds of people with your paws and ate the remains. You almost destroyed the village and its people. I'm going to make sure that you never get the chance to do it again. No! Please! I'm sorry! Naruto cried as he struggled harder, starting to get extremely desperate. The Chunin wore a malicious grin on his face as he raised his kunai in the air, ready to stab Naruto with it. Naruto closed his eyes tightly and felt a strange sensation in his right shoulder. He felt it rip apart painlessly and felt like a part of him was darting forward. He heard a gasp of pain and surprise before he opened his eyes and saw something that shocked him to the core. The Chunin was standing over him with the kunai raised, but that wasn't what shocked him. Coming out of the Chunin's chest were several crimson tendrils that were squiggling around. Naruto looked and saw that they were coming from where his shoulder was ripped off. The stitching was missing and his shoulder was about a foot away from where the rest of his arm was. Demon the Chunin gasped as the tendrils started to move within him. Naruto stared in shock as something wrapped in the tendrils came out of the Chunin's chest, while it was still beating. The Chunin then fell to the floor dead, but Naruto didn't know that yet. The object was then pulled into Naruto where his arm came back to the rest of his body. Ayaha! Naruto screamed as the weight of what had happened finally settled into his mind. He let loose a chakra pulse that covered the whole village. Hokage's office. You should really make some law about Jiraiya's peeping habits, a blonde-haired woman with a green coat and gray clothing said. She had her hair in 2 pigtails and had her arms crossed underneath her impressive bust. She gave an annoyed stare into the Sandame's eyes with her honey-colored ones. I would love to Tsunade, but Jiraiya's books make a lot of money. Money that he uses to supply his spy network and himself. He also sends whatever he can spare to Konoha to help with our economy, Hiruzen said as he sighed. Tsunade huffed and said, why couldn't he have just stick to writing adventure stories? That first one was good even if it wasn't a bestseller. Before Hiruzen could reply, the chakra pulse reached his office. Both his and Tsunade's eyes widened as they recognized who the chakra belonged to. Weasel, Mantis! The Sandame called out. 2 ANBU in the aforementioned masks appeared before their Hokage and waited for his orders. Follow us and make sure that there are no interruptions. Hiruzen ordered as he jumped out of his seat and leapt out the window, Tsunade following him in a heartbeat. Both ANBU jumped after them and tried to keep up. When they reached the source of the chakra pulse, Hiruzen's eyes widened and Tsunade gasped. Before them was a crying Naruto, still tied up to the post, and a dead Chunin at his feet. Mantis, make sure that we aren't interrupted. Weasel, stay for a moment, the Sandame ordered. Mantis vanished into the treetops and kept an watchful eye on the surrounding area. Hiruzen then shunshined over to Naruto and cut the ropes holding him in place. Tsunade rushed over to him and hugged him tightly as he cried into her shoulder. Tsunade began whispering comforting words into his ear until he cried himself to sleep. Weasel, do you know who this is? Hiruzen asked as he turned over the body of the dead Chunin. Daichi Uchiha, not a member who stands out, but not weak either, Weasel said after taking a good look at the Chunin. Hiruzen sighed and called Tsunade over, Naruto still clutching to her in his sleep. Can you see if he still has his heart? Tsunade used her free hand to run a diagnostic jutsu on the body before pulling away. No, his heart's not there. All of the veins connecting to it have been cleanly severed. Now I want you to check Naruto. I think that his Jiangu has activated, Hiruzen said. Tsunade nodded and started to check Naruto. After a couple minutes, she stopped the jutsu and faced the Sandame. The threads are moving erratically, trying to move the stolen heart to an area in Naruto's body where it will cause little discomfort, Tsunade explained. The Sandame sighed and said, bring him back to my office. Weasel, you go and summon Hayashi Hyuga and Inoichi Yamanaka to my office. Mantis, the ANBU appeared before him. If anyone asks about what happened, tell them that a new way to dispel genjutsu was being tested out before it went out. Speak nothing about what really happened here. The ANBU nodded before they disappeared again. The remaining 2 conscious people then leapt for the Hokage's office. After 5 minutes of waiting, Hayashi and Inoichi walked in with Weasel behind them. Weasel shut the door just as Hiruzen activated the privacy seals. Upon seeing Naruto clutching to Tsunade, Hayashi asked, what happened? Daichi Uchiha attempted to kill Naruto after abducting him. Hiruzen started before both clan heads let out a blast of ki. Where is the bastard? He'll be brain dead when I'm through with him, Inoichi yelled. Hiruzen shook his head and said, he's dead. Naruto's Jiangu activated and stole his still beating heart. Hayashi was confused. Wouldn't his Sharingan warn him of any attack? I suspect that he didn't have it activated. Daichi only used his Sharingan on foes who he considered worthy, Weasel explained. A stroke of luck then, Hayashi said. I suppose that Naruto is in shock because he saw the heart being stolen? Inoichi asked. Hiruzen nodded and said, yes, I want you to enter his mind and try to help him get over it. He should never have to go through this at such a young age. Inoichi nodded and made a few hand seals before placing his hand on Naruto's forehead and closing his eyes. Naruto's mindscape. Inoichi opened his eyes and saw that he was standing in what appeared to be a dimly lit sewer. This isn't as bad as I thought it would be, the Yamanaka had thought as he looked around. The appearance of Naruto's mind was a little disturbing to him though, since it reflected how Naruto felt. His own mind was a nice and peaceful forest, and his daughter Ino's was a field of flowers. Naruto's mind only showed that he was lonely and depressed. Inoichi then decided to walk deeper into Naruto's mind in order to find him. After what felt like an eternity of walking, he reached a giant cage that had a piece of paper on it with the kanji 4 seal on it. Is this what I think it is? Inoichi thought as he peered inside. He was met with a giant red eye that lazily stared at him. You're not my jailer, a booming voice said as Inoichi realized what he was seeing. KQB, Inoichi gasped as he saw the bijou fully illuminated behind the cage. The only thing that confused him was the fact that he only had 5 tails, and what appeared to be the stump of a 6th. I know what you're wondering, what happened to my tails, right? QB asked, to which Inoichi just dumbly nodded. Remember the night I attacked? When your Hokage used that kinjutsu to save the boy, it drew upon my chakra when you and your allies ran out. Let me tell you, I was left with 2 tails worth of chakra. Why are you being so civil with me? Inoichi asked. QB snorted and said, because right now, you're the only one who can make sure that my jailer doesn't become a brain-dead idiot. If you want to find him, he's down that hallway. QB pointed a claw in the direction Naruto's consciousness had retreated to. Thank you, Inoichi said as he began walking down the hallway. The QB said nothing as he watched the Yamanaka go to help his Jinchuriki. Inoichi walked down the white hallway until he reached a door. Seeing that it was the only way to go, he opened the door and was blinded by a bright light. When he opened his eyes, he saw that he was at one of the training grounds. This must be where Naruto was taken to before, Inoichi mused as he walked and saw the events that happened when Naruto was abducted. Inoichi was then blinded by a bright light before he saw that the events were repeating themselves over and over again. Having enough of this, the Yamanaka head walked towards Naruto and cut the ropes holding him in place, stopping the memory. Who are you? Naruto asked, shivering in fear. Inoichi, seeing how frightened he was, knelt down in front of him and gave him a friendly smile. My name is Inoichi Yamanaka, and I came into your mind to help you. And me? Naruto was confused. This stranger wanted to help him. Most strangers just hated him for no reason at all. Yes, I understand that you are feeling very scared right now, Inoichi said. IKK killed someone, Naruto said as he began shaking again. Inoichi sighed and said, yes you did, and you're never going to get over it. But you have to understand, if you didn't defend yourself, you would have been either seriously hurt or dead. Naruto stared at him in shock as he continued, people never get over their first kill, but you have to find a way to move on. People make hobbies to try and do it. A person I know is always late to any meeting, do you know why? Naruto shook his head. Because that's how he copes with his problems. I think I understand what you're saying, Naruto said. Inoichi smiled and said, good, now how about we go back to the real world? The Hokage's very worried about you. And I know you have some questions for him. Naruto nodded and Inoichi placed his hand on his forehead and both of them closed their eyes. Sandame's office. Both of the male blondes opened their eyes to see that they were back in the Hokage's office. Naruto looked and saw Hiruzen speaking with the blonde woman that found him when he was alone, a person with white eyes, and a teenager in a mask. We're gone for 5 minutes and you forget about us already? Inoichi asked as he gained the attention of everyone in the room. Naruto-kun! Hiruzen shouted as he appeared next to his surrogate grandson. Hi Gigi! Naruto said as he gave the old man a hug. He then released the Hokage and saw that the blonde woman before she scooped him up in a bone-crushing hug. You're alright. The woman cried as she continued to smother Naruto. Breathing, Naruto gasped out as his face turned blue. The woman realized that she was choking him and quickly let go. Naruto took a deep breath and got his breathing back under control. Hi pretty lady. I'm sorry I don't know your name, Naruto said. Tsunade chuckled and said, my name's Tsunade, don't you remember me? I was the one who found you when you were living in the alleyway. Naruto scrunched up his face and thought for a moment before saying, I think I remember you, you look familiar. Thank you for helping me get a home. Naruto, Hiruzen started, do you want to talk about what happened earlier? Hearing this, Naruto's face fell. Yeah, what were those things coming out of my arm? Hiruzen sighed and said, to explain it clearly, I would have to talk about the day of your birth. We had just survived the Kyuubi attack and were recovering. We had discovered an enemy spy who was attempting to leave Konoha with the information that we were at our weakest. We had him on the run before he picked you up from one of my shinobi who was taking you to the hospital and used you as a hostage. We had confronted him and made a deal, you would be released and the ninja would go free. However, he had sliced you where your stitching was before dropping you and attempting to flee, but an ANBU was able to kill him. In order to save you, I was forced to use a kinjutsu that the Shodame stole from Takigakure Whe. They attempted to assassinate him. What kind of jutsu? Naruto asked. It's known as Jiangu. It makes you the host of thread-like tendrils and gives you a wide range of powerful abilities, Hiruzen said. So when I become a ninja, I'll be a super ninja? Naruto asked, sparkles in his eyes. Everyone, except Weasel, chuckled at his statement. Hiruzen said, well, you'll be a strong ninja. Just think of yourself as someone who holds a unique Kekkai Genkai. So what can I do with Gyojin, whatever it's called? Naruto asked. It's called Jiangu. Jiangu. And you can do whatever you want with the tendrils since they respond to either your will, or they can act automatically when you're in danger, Hiruzen said. Wow. Can it do anything else? Naruto was bouncing on his feet now. The Sandaime sighed and said, there's one more thing that was listed in the scroll, but I don't know if you'll like it. Why not? Is it really bad? Naruto asked, getting a little scared now. No, it's just that you might be disturbed by this, Hiruzen said before explaining the last part of Jiangu. You can take the hearts of your enemies and steal all of their abilities and elemental nature. Like I did before? Naruto whispered. Yes, but this part of the ability has a positive effect for you, Hiruzen said. Naruto looked at him in confusion. What would be good about taking people's hearts? By stealing people's hearts, you can become like a cat, meaning that you will have multiple lives, Hiruzen explained. So I could still live even if I die? Naruto asked. Yes, but you will have to sacrifice a heart in the process. So you will want to be careful and try not to lose all your hearts, Hiruzen said. Naruto then looked at him and smiled. So can you teach me how to use it? Hiruzen smiled at Naruto's attitude and said, of course, that was what I wanted to do after I told you about this. And these people in the room are going to help you today. Naruto turned and saw Hayashi observing him before he jumped behind Tsunade and screamed, AHH. It's another man with scary white eyes. Another? Was the thought that went through the heads of most of the room's occupants. Naruto, when did you see someone with scary white eyes? Hiruzen asked, sending an apologetic look at Hayashi who waved it off. It was when I went to the park last week, Naruto started. I am Nachan was sick so Ichiraku's was closed for the day. I turned the corner and bumped into a man with those eyes. He demanded that I apologize, and when I said that he was the one who bumped me, he poked me in the arm and I couldn't move it. I went to yell at him, and his eyes grew big and he glared at me before I ran back home. Well, it seems like Naruto didn't have a good first meeting with the Hyuga clan, Inoichi said. Hayashi sighed and knelt down to Naruto's level. I hold no ill will against you, Uzumaki-san. I can understand that members of my clan can be difficult at times. I will take care of the issue when I find out who it was that attacked you. Naruto stared at Hayashi for a moment before saying, okay. But I have a question, how are you going to help me with my Jiangu? My clan possesses a Kekkai Genkai called the Byakugan. It allows us to see a person's chakra network, and it lets us see far away and through objects, Hayashi explained. What about him? Naruto asked, pointing at Weasel. You may remove your mask, the Sandaime said. Weasel reached up and took his mask off, revealing himself to the group. He had dark eyes like Daichi, and had lines running down the bridge of his nose. This is Itachi Uchiha, a prodigy of the Uchiha clan, Hiruzen said. So he's going to use his Sharingan? Tsunade asked. What's that? Naruto asked as he listened. Hiruzen turned to the young blonde and said, the Sharingan, like the Byakugan, is a Kekkai Genkai that is associated with the eyes. It allows the user to see chakra, cast powerful genjutsus, and predict someone's movements. A more noticeable feature of the Sharingan is that it can copy any ninjutsu it sees, as long as it isn't associated with anyone else's Kekkai Genkai. That sounds almost as cool as Jiangu, Naruto said. Almost? Itachi raised an eyebrow at this. Well, if I took the heart of someone who had just that you can't copy, that would make me better than you, right? Naruto asked. Everyone was shocked. He had figured out the one thing that he could do that the Sharingan couldn't. Itachi chuckled and said, yes, that would make you better than me. Now let's get started. Naruto, come here, Hiruzen said, beckoning Naruto to him. Naruto jogged over and stood before the Hokage. First, we're going to have you access your chakra. Hiruzen started as Hayashi and Itachi activated their Byakugan/Sharingan to observe the blonde Jinchuriki. How do I do that? Naruto asked. Hiruzen thought of the best way to word it for the boy. Do you feel a warm feeling in your gut? Naruto nodded. You need to try to grab that feeling and pull it to the surface. Try to make it flow through you. It becomes easier if you put your hands into this seal. He showed Naruto the ram's seal. After correcting his mistakes and making the seal, Naruto attempted to draw out his chakra. He felt that warm feeling like the Hokage said and tried to pull it to the surface. The problem was that because he was a Jinchuriki, he had far more chakra than a normal person his age, so it was like pulling a boulder out of a hole meant for a pebble. Come out already! Naruto growled as he pulled harder. Surprisingly, that thought somehow made Naruto able to drag his chakra to the surface. When he finally got it out, Hayashi and Itachi had to turn off their Dijutsu because they weren't expecting there to be so much chakra. What's wrong? Tsunade asked as she saw both males rub their eyes. Ugh, I wasn't expecting so much chakra. It merely disoriented me for a moment, Hayashi said. As am I, Itachi said as he blinked rapidly to get the spots out of his vision. Sorry? Naruto said, uncertain of what to do. There's no need for apologies, Naruto-san, Itachi said. Indeed, we just didn't expect you to have so much chakra, Hayashi put his 2 cents in. Is that a good thing? Naruto asked. It's a very good thing. A ninja who has more chakra is able to perform more jutsu, maybe more powerful ones, Hiruzen said. Ha! I knew I was awesome, Naruto cheered. It's Kushina with Minato's looks, were the thoughts of everyone except Itachi. Once Naruto calmed down, Hiruzen then tried to get him to do the next lesson. Now that you've got access to your chakra, we should try to get you to control your Jiangu to some degree, Hiruzen said. But I don't think that it would be a good idea to try it here. Why not? I'm ready to go, Naruto declared. Hiruzen chuckled at the blonde's enthusiasm and said that's why we have training grounds. Tsunade, can you take over trying to get his Jiangu activated? I'm afraid I can't since I'm behind on my work. Hiruzen glared at the pile of paperwork that was mocking him with its height. Tsunade sighed and said, Alright sensei, I'll tell you about our progress later. You men follow me to training ground 27. She then grabbed Naruto's shoulder and vanished in a shunshin. The rest of them followed, leaving Hiruzen alone. He then pulled out a little orange book and flipped it to a certain page before giggling pervertedly. Oh Kanoko-chan, you're so dirty. Training ground 27. Tsunade appeared in a puff of smoke with a stumbling Naruto. Oh, I think I'm gonna be sick herp. Naruto ran over to a bush where he proceeded to introduce the shrub to his eaten breakfast. Tsunade's sweat dropped and thought, maybe I should have just jumped here instead. You alright, Gaki? Why yeah, that was just uncomfortable, Naruto said as he leaned on a tree for support. I remember when Jiraiya-sensei taught us the Shunshin. Minato was the only one who was able to keep his lunch down the longest, Hayashi said as he and the other appeared behind Tsunade. So how am I gonna do this? Naruto said as he recovered. Well, Tsunade started as she pulled out a small scroll, opened it, and began to read from it. First you have to gain control of the tendrils that are in your body. So just close your eyes and try to feel them as they move throughout you. Naruto did as instructed and after a few minutes of concentrating, he opened his eyes and voiced his frustrations. I can't feel anything. It's just not there, Naruto complained. Try fluctuating your chakra, Itachi said as he activated his Sharingan. Naruto just gave him a funny look, not understanding what he wanted him to do. Itachi, realizing his mistake, said, What I want you to do is make your chakra move around wildly to try and get a reaction out of the Jiangu. Naruto nodded his head and closed his eyes. This time he made his chakra move around in an erratic manner before he felt it start to move to his right forearm. His arm then felt a little numb and heard a few gasps. He opened his eyes to see that several tendrils were moving in and out of his forearm without leaving any sort of mark that they had emerged when they went back in. Awesome! Naruto shouted as he saw his progress. I didn't expect him to do it so quickly, Inoichi said. He's just like Minato, able to get the gist of any technique in only a few tries, Hayashi thought as he watched Naruto make his tendrils dance through the air, making shapes or animals. I think I've got the hang of this, Naruto said. Well, you can use what Sensei wrote down as the basic control, Tsunade said as she read the scroll. When you have a better control over it and are a little older, you can start on some of the complicated stuff. I want to work on it now, Naruto whined. Yet, he's got Kushina's attitude. Always wanting to do the hard stuff right away, Hayashi thought, silently chuckling to himself. I think that you've done enough work for today, now how about I treat you to some ramen? Tsunade said the magic words. Ramen! Naruto yelled as he clung to Tsunade's leg. To Ichiraku's. Alright. Just get off. Tsunade yelled. Konoha 5 years after Kyuubi attack. Naruto sighed as he leaned against the tree he was using as a target. The bark was littered with slash marks and punctures, like a bunch of other trees that were in the area. He was working hard mastering his Jiangu and making new ways to fight with it. He had made a bunch of new attacks to use, especially with his new ability. He remembered when the Hokage helped him learn this new part of the Jiangu. Flashback 3 months ago. Naruto-kun, I was expecting you, Hiruzen said as he saw the blonde walk inside. You were? Naruto asked as he entered. Hiruzen smiled and said, yes, I was wondering if you would like to learn another ability of the Jiangu. Don't you know me by now, Jiji? Of course I want to learn a new ability, Naruto shouted as he practically bounced off the walls. Hiruzen chuckled and said, excellent, we'll leave for my personal training area in a few minutes. Why? Why don't we just go now? Naruto asked. I've been signing a lot of papers today and my hands are a little numb. I would like to have some feeling in them before we start training, Hiruzen said as he glared at the pile of finished paperwork. Okay, there was something I had to tell you anyway, Naruto said as he took a seat. What is it? Hiruzen asked. Naruto pulled back the sleeve of his right arm and showed the Sandaime that there was stitching in the middle of his forearm. What happened? Hiruzen asked, thinking that Naruto was attacked. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and explained, well, I was thinking about the abilities of my Jiangu and remembered that I could extend my limbs at the stitching. So I was thinking that it would be really cool if I could shoot my arm out at someone. When I tried to do it with my original stitching, it felt really uncomfortable. But then I felt my arm getting tingly and saw that this was happening. Incredible, I thought that you had to be cut for the process to happen, Hiruzen said. Can you make it go back to normal? I mean, can you make that arm normally attached without the stitching? Yeah, but it takes a lot of focus and makes me really tired when I do that, so I decided to leave it there and only take it away when I'm on vacation or something, Naruto said. It's probably his Uzumaki genes or the Kyuubi, the Sandaime thought. The scroll didn't say anything about this sort of thing. Naruto, Hiruzen began, you never cease to amaze me. Let's go, this technique is something that I know you're gonna love. Hiruzen then led Naruto to the Hokage's personal training grounds, which was in a cave behind the tower underneath the Hokage monument. There was a waterfall inside the cave and an area filled with weaponry. Wow! Naruto shouted as he saw the training field. Indeed it is very impressive, Hiruzen said. The Shodaime and Nidaime created this training field for all Hokages and their personal apprentices to use. Does this mean that the Yandaime trained here? Naruto asked. The Yandaime was his idol, so he was excited to be in an area where the Yandaime trained. Hiruzen went to answer, but found himself at a loss for words. Now that I think about it, the Yandaime only trained here twice. Rumor was it that he had a secret training ground, but nobody knows where it is. Now, before we start on your Jiangu, I'm going to teach you a D-rank Katan Jutsu, Hiruzen said. You're going to teach me a jutsu? Naruto cried in disbelief. Yes, because you're going to need at least one jutsu for this new ability of the Jiangu, Hiruzen explained. Now this jutsu isn't really that big of an attack, but it's the only one I've got that you probably won't hurt yourself with. But if you do hurt yourself, it won't be too bad. So what's the jutsu? Naruto asked, paying close attention. Hiruzen then started to explain the jutsu, the hand seals Aruma, Inu, and Tora. He made the hand seals and took a deep breath before shouting, Katan, fire bullet jutsu. He shot out a small fireball the size of a tennis ball that impacted against the waterfall, making it steam a little. Wow! Naruto shouted in amazement. In order to do this jutsu correctly, you have to gather chakra in your lungs and mold it into the shape of the fire bullet. Then you take a deep breath and exhale the air after it mixes with your chakra. When you are exhaling, you have to change your chakra into fire, Hiruzen explained. Okay. Naruto cried as he made the hand seals and took in a deep breath. After mixing his chakra, he exhaled while shouting, Katan, fire bullet jutsu. But instead of a fireball coming out, he coughed out a cloud of smoke. Hiruzen just laughed as Naruto ran over to the small lake and began to take big gulps of water. After about 27 tries, Naruto was able to perform the jutsu correctly. The Sandaime made him do it several more times so he could get used to the chakra flow. Now we're going to make an advancement with your Jiangu, Hiruzen said as he pulled out a sealing scroll. So what am I gonna learn? Naruto asked. Hiruzen chuckled at his enthusiasm and said, "You're going to use the Jiangu to make your hearts fight for you." Huh? Naruto didn't understand what he was saying. The Sandaime sighed and said, "You can make the threads come out and make a body for the heart you stole to fight alongside you." "I still don't get it," Naruto said as he scratched the side of his head. Hiruzen then tried to explain it, though another approach: pull off your arm and have a bunch of threads come out. Naruto did as instructed, and a fair amount of threads came out and formed a sphere the size of the hat Hiruzen was wearing. "Now, can you feel your second heart?" Naruto nodded. "Try to move it into that sphere." Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated. He felt the heart within his body and willed the threads to move it. He could feel the heart as it went up his arm and towards where his arm detached. Naruto opened his eyes and saw the heart, still covered in crimson threads, as it was absorbed by the sphere. The sphere then shuddered as he began to detach from Naruto, and it fell to the floor in a quivering mess. Did I do something wrong?" Naruto asked as he started to worry. "No, what you need to do now is place your hand on the threads and make the heart go into a mask after I place it on the threads. I'll explain afterwards," Hiruzen said. Naruto nodded and waited for the Hokage to pull out the mask. The Sandaime opened the scroll and pushed some chakra into it, making a mask pop out. It was a fox mask with red markings on it. The mask also had a movable jaw that was filled with sharp teeth. Hiruzen placed the mask on the mass of threads and Naruto placed his hand next to it. Naruto directed the heart to go into the mask, and removed his hand once he felt that the process was done. "Now you should have the threads take the shape of whatever animal you want," Hiruzen said. "Though you should have it take the shape of a fox since that's the mask we put on it." Naruto nodded again and focused. The threads began to squirm around before they started to take shape. After a few moments, standing before them was a mass of crimson threads in the shape of a nine-tailed fox. It had rabbit-like ears that were curved, and the fox mask that was placed on it moments before. "Wow! I didn't know I could do that!" Naruto exclaimed as he watched the construct as it stood there like a statue. "It's a special ability that the Jiangu is capable of," Hiruzen began. "You can animate the threads that your stolen hearts reside in so they can assist you in battle. However, it can only use the element of the heart that is inside it." "This just makes me even more awesome!" Naruto shouted as he ran around his new construct. "Though I have to ask, why make it look like the Kyuubi?" Hiruzen asked, getting a little nervous. "Simple, I want it to look scary. That way my enemies will be too busy being afraid and I'll be able to beat them up," Naruto told him. Hiruzen sighed. He should have known that that was the reason. End flashback. Naruto had learned to perform his jutsu though it was very hard to do. He failed at it many times until he was able to get the jutsu to work correctly. He currently had the mask stitched to his mask by a long line that went across the upper portion of his back towards his right shoulder. Of course, he was forced to go through a small wardrobe change because of his new additions. Thankfully, Hiruzen had his personal tailor make the clothes for the blonde. He was now wearing a specially made vest that left his back bare so his masked creature could get out faster. It was black with a red swirl on his chest and dark orange flames on the bottom of the vest. To cover up his mask and stitching, he wore a black trench coat that had a belt tied at the waist. He was wearing black ninja pants with ANBU shin guards attached to them. On his feet were his blue sandals. Naruto decided to take a walk through the forest and enjoy the relaxing breeze. As Naruto walked through the forest, he could see the shapes of some people that were in the distance. As he crept closer, he could hear what they were saying. "So you're a member of the Hyuga clan?" a male voice said. Naruto got closer and saw 3 boys about 2 years older than him surrounding a little girl that was his age. He couldn't get a good view of her, but she appeared to have dark blue hair and was dressed in some formal robes. "Why, yes, I am," a soft, timid voice, probably the girl's, replied. "Oh, do you gonna think that we're not worthy of your attention?" a second male asked. "And no, I didn't say that," the girl trailed off. "Hey guys, let's show her that we're better than her stuck-up clan," the first male's voice suggested. "Yeah," the other 2 agreed. The next thing Naruto knew, they were pushing the small girl around. Stop it!" the girl cried. But alas, her pleas fell on deaf ears. "That's enough," Naruto said as he stepped into the clearing. The boys stopped harassing the girl and let her fall to the floor. She looked up to see her savior, but Naruto wasn't looking at her yet. He would do so when he was sure that these bullies were going to leave. "Hey, this is the kid my parents said to stay away from," the third bully said. "Yeah, mine said that he was a demon in disguise," the first one whispered. "Demon? But he looks like a regular person," the girl thought as she stared at Naruto. If you have to pick on someone younger than you, then you are really pathetic, Naruto said. This angered the boys and the leader stepped forward. Come on guys, there's one of him and 3 of us, we can take him. Yeah. You're right. The 3 of them then charged Naruto. Naruto sighed and said, just because there's more of you, it doesn't mean that you'll win. Then he got to work cleaning up the garbage. He grabbed the fist of the first bully that came flying towards him and threw him over his shoulder. He sidestepped the second bully and tripped him before he ducked under the third one's punch and elbowed him in the gut, making him double over in pain. You're outclassed, get out of here, Naruto said as he glared at them. If I see you bullying anyone else again, then we're going to have problems. With that, the 3 bullies scrambled to their feet and ran away. Naruto then turned to the girl to see her watching him in awe. You okay? Naruto asked as the cold look faded from his eyes to be replaced with a caring blue. Now that he was sure that the bullies had left, he was able to get a good look at her. She was around his age with blue hair that was in a Heim-style cut that had 2 bangs framing her face. Her eyes were an attractive color of lavender that reminded Naruto of the moon. Why yes. The girl squeaked as she got out of her stupor, blushing red. Naruto just raised an eyebrow at her antics before shaking his head and extending a hand. Let me help you up, Naruto said. Oh. Thank you, the girl said as she took his hand as he gently pulled her up. She dusted off her robes before bowing to Naruto. Thank you for saving me, she said. Naruto just waved her off and said, it's no problem, I couldn't just let them push around someone. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, what's your name? My name is Hinata Hyuga, Hinata said. Hyuga? Where have I heard that name before? Naruto wondered. It's one of the most prestigious clans in Keikonoha, Hinata said. Now I remember. I met that Hayashi guy in Gigi's office last year. Naruto realized. You met Tusama? Hinata asked. That was your dad? Wow, small world, Naruto said. I guess so, Hinata said. Hey, Naruto began, do you want to be my friend? Why yes, I would love to be your friend Naruto-san, Hinata said with a small smile and blush. Don't call me San dash, it makes me feel old, Naruto said. Hinata looked down and said, I'm so sorry. Would you like me to call you and Naruto-kun? Yeah. That sounds better, Naruto said with a grin. Hinata-sama. Get away from him. Naruto turned around just in time to get an open palm slap to the stomach, sending him flying. When he opened his eyes, he saw that it was a young man with brown hair spiked backwards. He was wearing a black kimono and had the bulging eyes of the Byakugan. Seeing that he was out of his league, Naruto leapt to his feet and ran away. Ko-san. Why did you do that? He helped me when some BB bullies were bothering me. Hinata cried. Don't be fooled by its lies, Hinata-sama. That thing was trying to let you lower your guard so it could harm you, Ko said as he began to pull the young girl away, despite her protests. Hyuga compound. As soon as Hinata was brought home, she ran to the garden where she knew her mother would be. Her mother would know what to do, she was really smart about things like this. Inside the Hyuga garden, Hitomi was sitting on a bench rubbing her slightly bulged stomach. She was already 3 months pregnant with her second child. Keika-chan! Hinata cried as she ran towards her mother. Hinata-chan? Hitomi was surprised to see her daughter in such a state. The young girl leapt into her mother's lap and clung to her robes tightly. What's wrong, my dear? I at WW was Keiko-san. He attacked a boy who saved me from some BB bullies, Hinata said as she clung even tighter. Ko did what? Hitomi screamed. Hayashi came running out a minute later, having heard his wife scream. What happened? Hayashi huffed. Our wonderful bodyguard for Hinata decided to save her from a harmless boy that had saved her from some ruffians, Hitomi said. Hinata, can you tell us about what happened? Hayashi asked. So Hinata told her the story of how she was rescued from some bullies by Naruto, only for him to be attacked by Ko when they were talking. Hayashi, having heard enough, got up and went to search for Ko. After a branch member brought Ko to his office, Hayashi looked him straight in the eye. Good evening, Ko, Hayashi greeted. Good evening, Hayashi-sama, Ko greeted back. How was your walk through the village with Hinata today? The Hyuga head asked. It was fine, I kept her away from all trouble, Ko told him. Hayashi quirked an eyebrow and said, Really? Because I heard a different story. He then sent Ko a harsh glare and said, "She said that you both got separated and told me how she was assaulted by some ruffians when she was in the forest. And I defended her from the threat," Ko said. "Did you now?" Hayashi asked in a sarcastic tone. "She told me that she was rescued from 3 boys 2 years older than her by a young boy. A young boy that you assaulted without warning." "There wasn't a group there, just a boy that was harassing her," Ko said, spitting out the word boy like it was a poison. Hayashi just sent him a glare and said, "So I should just disregard what my daughter told me and believe you instead, correct?" "That thing probably made an illusion to try and gain her trust before it dash," Ko said. "Enough!" Hayashi yelled. "I will not sit here and let you lie to my face." "But I am not lying, Hayashi-sama," Ko protested. "I have met the Uzumaki boy and have seen that he is a well-mannered boy when he meets his superiors unless they allow him to do otherwise," Hayashi said. "I've seen that he has pure intentions for the village, a village that spits on the sacrifice the Yondaime made." Before Ko could say anything, Hayashi said to him, "Tomorrow you will accompany me, my wife, and Hinata to Uzumaki-san's apartment, where you will apologize for your behavior against him. Maybe if you spend some time with him you will see how wrong the village is when they speak about him." With that, Hayashi dismissed Ko. The younger Hyuga could only walk out of his office in mild shock. He was going to spend tomorrow with that thing. Tomorrow, Naruto's apartment. Naruto sat at his table as he finished making his breakfast. A bowl of ninja flakes and a nice cold glass of fresh milk that he bought from the store. He was too lazy to change into his regular clothes right away, so he just sat there in his pajamas. I wonder if I'll see that Hinata girl again, Naruto thought as he ate another spoonful of cereal. He was shaken out of his thoughts by the sound of someone knocking at the door, making him narrow his eyes in suspicion. Only 3 people knew where he lived: the Hokage, Tsunade, and her apprentice Shizun, and they never visited him in the morning. So he slowly crept towards the door and had his threads out and formed them into a blade. "Who is it?" Naruto asked. He wanted to make sure if it was someone he knew. "And Naruto-kun?" "It's me, Hinata," he heard. Naruto took a small peek outside through his door and saw that it was indeed the Hyuga girl from yesterday. But behind her were 3 people. He recognized Hayashi and the Hyuga that he had the pleasure of meeting yesterday, but he didn't know who the woman was. Naruto thought that it was Hinata's mother since she had the same hair color as the girl. "Give me a minute," Naruto called out as he rushed back towards his room and changed his clothes in record time. After adjusting his trench coat, he went back to the front and opened the door. "Oh, hello again, Hinata-chan, Hayashi-sama, Hyuga team, ma'am," Naruto greeted with a smile. Ko was fuming at his new title, but it appeared that nobody else was bothered by it. "You deserve it," Hitomi thought while grinning internally. "Come on in, I was just about to have breakfast," Naruto said as he walked back inside, his guests following him in, though Ko was a bit reluctant, until Hayashi sent him a look. "Do you guys want anything?" "All I've got is ninja flakes and ramen," Naruto asked as he walked towards his refrigerator. "No thank you, Naruto-san, we've already had breakfast," Hitomi said. "Oh, okay," Naruto said as he turned around and sat in his chair. "So why did you come over? I mean, I'm not the type of person to get so many visitors, especially in the morning." "Ko here has something that he would like to say to you," Hayashi said as he gave Ko a look that said, "Be nice or we'll have problems." Ko took a deep breath. He couldn't believe that he was going to do this. "I am sorry for attacking you yesterday, Uzumaki-san. I thought that you were attacking Hinata-sama, not helping her." Naruto shook his head and said, "It's fine, you were just doing your job like I was when I saw her being bothered by those jerks." "And what would your job be?" Hitomi asked. "If I'm gonna be Hokage one day, I have to make sure that there's no more bullying. It's not a nice thing to do, Databeo," Naruto said. "Why you want to be Hokage?" Hinata asked. "Yeah. The Hokage's the strongest person in the village, so that's a place for me," Naruto told her. Hayashi was in deep thought for a moment before suggesting, "Hinata, why don't you and Naruto go and walk through the village for the day?" "Are really Sama?" Hinata asked, shocked that he would allow this. Hayashi nodded and said, "You should take the time to get to know your new friend." Thank you, Sama," Hinata stammered out as she went to the front to put her sandals on. Naruto stared at Hayashi for a while before asking, "Can you lock the door on your way out?" "Of course," Hayashi said. "Okay," Naruto said as he went to put his sandals on. He then rushed back into his room and placed Gamachan in his back pocket before he left with Hinata. "Ko," Hayashi started, "in order for you to get a better understanding of Naruto, you will tail them and will not interfere with anything unless they are being harmed by civilians or drunken shinobi. Ko looked appalled for a moment before nodding and rushing after the two children. Are you sure that's a good idea, Hayashi-kun? Hitomi asked. It's the best one I can think of at the moment, Hayashi said. Training Ground 27. Naruto had led the Hyuga heiress towards his personal training grounds. Ko had followed them and was wondering what Naruto was up to. And Naruto-kun, why are we here? Hinata asked. This is my personal training grounds, Naruto stated as he waved his arms out. Why we're here is because I want to show you something. What is it? Hinata asked. Can you keep it a secret? Naruto asked. Why yes, I can, Hinata said. I'm gonna show you my special jutsu. It's something that I got after I was born, Naruto explained. What kind of J-jutsu? Hinata asked. A Kenjutsu. Naruto then went and told her the same story the Sandaime told him when he first discovered the Jiangu. By the time he was finished, Hinata was at tears and hugged him, saying that nobody had to go through that. Can I see it? Hinata asked. Sure, Naruto replied as he pulled back the sleeve of his right arm and revealed his detachable limb. He then pulled off his forearm and Hinata watched in amazement as the crimson threads came out and stayed connected to the limb. Hinata then reached out and took a small amount of threads into her hands. It's so soft, like silk, Hinata said in amazement as she continued to observe the material. She then began to giggle as a stray thread danced past her ear, lightly grazing it. What's up? Naruto asked as he heard her giggle. Hinata blushed for a moment before saying, and nothing, it just tickled me a little. Naruto then had a playful grin on his face as he thought of something fun to do. So you're ticklish, huh? Why yes, I am terribly ticklish, Hinata said, not seeing his grin. Why did you ask? Oh, no reason, just thought that you might enjoy this. Naruto shouted as he sent his tendrils towards the smaller girl as they began running across her skin. Hinata's eyes went wide before she burst out laughing. Nah, Haruto ho ho. Ha ha. Please see. It's too much. From what I can tell, you're enjoying this, Naruto said as he took off her sandals and began to scribble his fingers over his feet, making her voice go up another octave. Ahahaha. Pleahahasi stahahop. I can't tahahake it anamahahor. Hinata laughed as she flailed her arms and legs in an attempt to get free. Thinking that she had enough, Naruto let her go and retracted his tendrils. Hinata lay there on the floor taking deep breaths, her face flushed a bright pink. So, did you have fun? Naruto asked. Have fun? Hinata asked. Yeah, you looked like you needed to smile a bit more, so I discovered the perfect way to get you to do so, Naruto said as he gave her a fox-like grin. Hinata looked at him before giving him a small smile. Why yes, I had a little fun. Naruto grinned and said good, because I have another part of my Jiangu that I want to show you. What is it? Hinata asked. Naruto said nothing as he undid the belt that was tied around his trenchcoat and shrugged it off, revealing the mask that was stitched to his back. Hinata put her hands to her mouth and gasped in shock. Don't worry, this is part of it. Naruto then explained to her how he was able to use the hearts to make creatures to assist him in battle. Let me show you. Naruto then put his hands in the Tora seal and said, Jiangu, activate. The part on his back with the mask began to pulse before the stitching came undone, and the mask leapt off with a mass of crimson tendrils attached to it. Once it hit the ground, it took the shape of a nine-tailed fox. That's amazing, Hinata said as she watched the fox stand there. Yeah. I can also make it use any fire jutsu I know, Naruto said. Why only FF fire jutsu? Hinata asked. Because that's the elemental affinity this heart has, Naruto told her. Naruto then looked at the sky and saw that was around noon. That meant that it was lunchtime, of course. It also didn't help that his stomach decided to voice its own opinion, making a large growling noise. Naruto blushed in embarrassment as Hinata giggled at him. Does someone want to laugh some more? Naruto asked with a mischievous grin as he waved his tendrils through the air. Hinata giggled a little as she stepped back. That's not any necessary, Hinata said. Naruto chuckled and said, let's go and get some lunch. Do you like ramen? I haven't had it before, Hinata said as she poked her fingers together. When she didn't hear Naruto say anything, she looked up at him to see that he had a shocked look on his face. You've never had ramen? Naruto asked. Hinata just meekly nodded and Naruto let out a scream of horror before he took her hand into his own and began racing towards Ichiraku's. After he got his fire heart back into his body. Eep! Was all Hinata could say as she was forced to follow Naruto into the village. Ko was silently following them while trying to prevent himself from rushing the boy. After racing into the village, Naruto stopped in front of the ramen stand and yelled inside. Old man Ichiraku! We've got an emergency! Naruto yelled. Tucci ran out to see Naruto with a panting Hinata next to him. What is it? Did the Hokage limit you to only eating one bowl? Tucci asked in horror. Worse! Naruto cried. She has never had ramen in her life. Tucci looked at Hinata with some horror written on his face. We need a bowl of miso ramen now. With that, he rushed back into the kitchen, leaving the two kids alone at the booth. After 3 minutes of waiting, Tucci brought out a steaming bowl of ramen and placed it in front of Hinata. She picked up her chopsticks and took a small amount of the noodles into her mouth and swallowed. Her eyes lit up and she began to eat more of them at a faster pace. This is delicious! Hinata exclaimed softly. Naruto let out a sigh of relief and said, Thank Kami, you are suffering from a severe case of ramen deprivation. I don't think that's a real thing, Hinata said. Of course it is. Nobody can survive without ramen, Naruto said. But I haven't eaten our ramen and I'm EFF fine, Hinata pointed out. Naruto put on a thinking expression and said, But you can't live without a delicious food like ramen. See, cinnamon BB buns are delicious to me, Hinata said. Everyone has weird tastes, Naruto said as he went back to devouring 2 bowls at once. After they had lunch, Naruto decided to take Hinata back home. She had to lead the way, of course, since he had no idea where she lived. Upon reaching the Hyuga compound, the kids kept an eye on Naruto while he and Hinata said goodbye. Hey Hinata, Naruto began, are you going to join the academy next year? Why yes, I am going to TT train to become a ninja, the young Hyuga said. Great. Maybe we'll be in the same class, Naruto said. I would like that very much, Hinata said as she poked her fingers together. Well, see you around Hinata, Naruto said. The young Hyuga walked back into her compound and Naruto walked back to his apartment. Ko leapt down from the trees with a thoughtful expression on his face. He entered Haishi's study where the man was waiting for him. I trust that there were no problems, Haishi asked. Ko shook his head and said, No Haishi-sama, Hinata-sama seemed to enjoy her time with Uzumaki-san. Hayashi nodded and asked, Have you seen how the rumors about Naruto-san aren't true? Yes, I even saw that he has a kenjutsu of his own, Ko said. You must never speak about it until Naruto-san makes it known to others, Hayashi said. There are people in this village who would do anything to get their hands on him if they knew. I understand, Hayashi-sama, Ko said. Konoha 5 months later. A 6-year-old Naruto jumped out of bed earlier than usual with a big smile on his face. And why wouldn't he? Today was the day he starts attending the academy. A place where he could meet people his age. Hopefully they wouldn't glare at him like all the adults would. While he was still friends with Hinata, he wanted to make more friends and expand his social life. Naruto inhaled his breakfast and put on his clothes in record time. He made extra sure that his trenchcoat would hide all his stitches so nobody would ask questions. Before he walked out the door, he remembered the conversation he had with the Hokage last week. Flashback Sandame's office. You wanted to see me, Gigi? Naruto asked as he sat down in the chair across from Hiruzen. Yes, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen confirmed. You're starting the academy next week, right? Yeah. And I'm gonna be the best ninja there, Naruto proclaimed. Hiruzen sighed and said, That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. What's up? Naruto asked. I don't want you to be the best ninja in the academy, Hiruzen bluntly said. As predicted, Naruto exploded. What? Why shouldn't I be the best? I want everyone to know how awesome I really am. Hiruzen sighed and told him, That's the thing, if everyone knew how tough you really were, then you wouldn't be a real ninja. Naruto was surprised. What are you talking about? A real ninja hides his skills from his enemies, Hiruzen explained. A real ninja is deceptive and sneaky, always hiding in the shadows while hunting his prey. If you were to show everyone your abilities, then they might find ways to counter it. Naruto thought it over for a moment before saying, So you want me to be weak so people will underestimate me? Hiruzen shook his head and said, I didn't say that you should be the weak one. You should just be an average student. That way you won't be weak, and you won't attract attention to yourself. Okay, Gigi. I'll make you proud, Naruto said as he got up and left the room. Besides, if you showed everyone your abilities, I wouldn't be able to protect you. Not until you become a ninja, Hiruzen thought as he lit his pipe for a smoke. Flashback end. Naruto shook his head and got back to reality as he looked at the clock. He saw that he had a little over an hour to get there. So he tightened the belt on his trench coat and grabbed his aviator goggles. They were a gift from Hinata as a thank you for saving her from the bullies all those months ago. After locking his front door, Naruto jumped down his stairs and leapt into the street before running towards the academy. As he ran, he could see the glares and looks of disgust on the civilians' faces. He just shrugged them off and continued running. After a half hour of running through the streets, Naruto arrived at the main gate of the academy. He looked up in awe of the large building, the place where he would learn to become a shinobi. He could feel his threads reacting to his excitement with all their wiggling. He calmed down and walked into the building, but couldn't keep the grin off of his face. Naruto walked to the front desk where a young woman was reading a magazine. Hi. Can you tell me where the classroom for the new students is? Naruto asked. Down the hall and to your left, it's room 15, the woman said without looking up from her magazine. Naruto said thanks and jogged down the hallways. He arrived at the room and opened the door before walking inside. The room was fairly simple. There was a teacher's desk in the front, a blackboard behind it. The desks were arranged in a rising position where the teacher could see all the students. There were children his age inside the room already sitting down and chatting with each other. 8 of them stood out to him, however. 3 girls and 5 boys. The first boy was sitting towards the back of was wearing a gray coat with a color that hid everything under the black shades he wore. He had spiky brown hair like his own. Naruto thought he spied a small beetle crawling across his hand, but shook it off. The next boy was a round boy with a bag of chips in his hands. He was wearing a green jacket with spiral markings on his cheeks. He had spiky brown hair on his head. The third boy was sleeping on his desk. As far as Naruto could see, he had his hair styled like a pineapple. He was wearing a gray shirt with a clan marking on it. Naruto thought that he was just tired from not getting enough sleep. After all, Naruto woke up every 3 hours because of his excitement last night. The fourth boy was wearing a gray hoodie with the hood down, revealing his shaggy brown hair. He had slitted pupils and red fawn-like markings on his cheeks. Sitting on his head was a small white puppy. The final boy was sitting in the corner of the room with a bored expression on his face. He was wearing a blue shirt with a crest on the back of it that looked like a fan. He had hair that was spiked in the appearance of a duck's butt. Naruto had to stifle a laugh as he thought about that. Finally, he looked at the girls that stood out. The first one was a pink-haired girl with a red bow in her hair. She was wearing a red shirt and black shorts and was staring dreamily at the boy with the duck butt hair. The second girl was on with platinum blonde hair. She was wearing a light purple shirt and pants that reached her knees and had a green clip in her hair. Naruto caught her staring at the girl with pink hair with a sign of depression before she turned back and staring at the same boy, but not as longingly as the first girl. The third girl was someone Naruto instantly recognized. It was Hinata. Naruto smiled as he jumped up the steps to his friend. Seeing that she was spaced out, Naruto poked her in the side to get her attention. Hinata was thinking about whether or not Naruto would be in her class. She hoped that he would. He was her only friend that was her own age after all. She was jolted out of her thoughts by a poke to her side. She practically jumped out of her seat while biting her lip to hold in her bubbling giggles. She turned her head and saw the person she was thinking about. And Naruto-kun! Hinata softly cried. Hi Hinata-chan! Naruto greeted. He then sat down in the chair next to her while giving her a large grin. Are you excited about being here? Naruto asked. I'm a little and nervous about this, Hinata admitted. Don't worry about it. You're gonna do great, Naruto told her. Hinata blushed at the praise and just played with her fingers. It was then that the classroom door opened and 2 shinobi stepped inside. They were wearing a Chunin's uniform and were carrying boxes full of books. One had his brown hair in a pineapple style with a scar across the bridge of his nose. The other one just had silvery blue hair that fell to his shoulders. Hello everyone, the one with the scar said as he set the boxes on the desk and faced the class. My name is Irika Yumino, one of your instructor for your classes at the academy, Irika said. I'm Mizuki Tuji, another one of your instructors, the other man said. Now before we start with getting you all settled in for your classes, why don't we all introduce ourselves? I'll call you in alphabetical order and you'll come to the front and tell us your name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams for the future, Irika explained. First up, Shino Abirame. The boy with the large coat walked to the front of the room and faced everyone. My name is Shino Abirame. I like most types of insects. I dislike people who kill insects for no reason. I like to collect and observe different types of insects. My goal for the future is to one day become the Abirame clan head. Thank you, Shino. The Abirame heir walked back to his desk quietly. Next up, Choji Akimichi. The round boy walked up to the front of the room after he left his bag of chips on his desk and faced everyone with a nervous grin on his face. Hi. I'm Choji Akimichi. I like to eat different foods, and my friend Shikamaru. I dislike people who discriminate at the Akimichi clan because of how we maintain our jutsu, and people who make fun of me for being big-boned. My hobbies are relaxing with Shikamaru and testing my Kachan's cooking. My dreams are to become the next head of the Akimichi clan. After Choji walked back to his seat, Irika looked at the attendance board and said who was next, Sakura Haruno. The girl with the pink hair walked to the front of the room and stood before the class with a look of superiority around her, like she was the boss of the classroom. My name's Sakura Haruno. My hobbies are and my dreams for the future are. Every time she paused, she would look at the boy with the duckbutt hair and squeal, making the boy groan and slam his head into his desk. And your dislikes? Irika asked, already crying on the inside because of the fact that this was a fangirl. People who are stupid, Sakura roared. After she walked back to his desk, Irika called out the next name. Hinata Hyuga. After some words of encouragement from Naruto, Hinata walked to the front of the room and faced the class. Hello, I am Hinata H. Hyuga. I like SW sweet foods, and SS spending time with my friend and Naruto. I dislike people WW who look down on others and S seafood. My hobbies are FL flower pressing and GG gardening. My dreams for the FF future is to see change the WA of the Hyuga C clan. After walking back to her seat quickly, the next name was called up. Kiba Inuzuka. The boy with the dog raced down to the front and faced everyone with a feral grin. I'm Inuzuka, and this is Akamaru. I like spending time with the dogs at my clan compound and my buddy here. I dislike cats and people who hate dogs. My hobbies are playing with Akamaru and training. My dream for the future is to become one of the best ninja in the village. Shikamaru Nara. When nobody came up, Irika looked around the room until he saw the sleeping boy. Shikamaru Nara! Irika yelled. He was about to yell again when he saw Choji raise his hand to stop him. Choji then turned to Shikamaru and said, Shikamaru, your mother's here. As fast as lightning, Shikamaru jumped out of his seat while looking around fearfully. When he didn't see his mother, he looked at Choji with a bored expression. Choji, that was cruel and heartless, Shikamaru told him. Now that you're awake, maybe you would like to introduce yourself to the class? Irika asked with a look on his face that just dared him to say no. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered as he trudged to the front. I'm Shikamaru Nara. I like relaxing and playing shogi. I dislike troublesome things like extra work. My hobbies are cloud watching and resting. I don't really have a goal for the future, it's too troublesome to think of one. Most of the class snickered at his introduction, while Irika and Mizuki just sighed. They already knew to expect this from Inara, but it was worse than they thought. Irika just shook his head and called out the next student. Sasuke Uchiha? The boy with the duckbutt hair walked to the front of the classroom and looked at them with an air of superiority around him. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, a member of the great Uchiha clan. I like my family and Anajirai. I dislike those who are weak and pathetic. My hobbies are training to get stronger. My goal is to one day surpass my brother Itachi. Irika nodded as he watched Sasuke walk back to his seat. He looked down at the sheet and bit back a groan when he saw the next name. He considered skipping over it but decided that it wasn't worth the trouble. Naruto Uzumaki. Neither Naruto or Hinata missed the small hint of disgust when Irika called him out. After being Naruto's friend, Hinata was able to see all the looks of hatred and disgust that were thrown Naruto's way. She asked him why they did that, but Naruto truthfully told her that he doesn't know. The young Uzumaki jumped to the front of the room and faced the class with a big fox-like grin. My name's Naruto Uzumaki, Databayo. I like ramen and spending time with my friend Hinata-chan. I dislike mean people and those who think they're better than others. My hobbies are training and hanging out with Hinata-chan. My goal for the future is to become Hokage. As if anyone would let you rule the village you tried to destroy, were the thoughts of the two academy instructors. Once he was back in his seat, Irika called up the last name of the list. Ino Yamanaka. The blonde-haired girl walked to the front of the room and faced the class. I'm Ino Yamanaka. I like all types of flowers and spending time at my family's flower shop. I dislike mean people and idiots who think they're better than me just because I'm a girl. My hobbies are working at the flower shop and helping my parents. My dreams for the future are to win the affections of Sasuke-kun. Sasuke just banged his head into the desk again, making a nice indentation of his face on the wood. Irika could see that she was a fangirl, but wasn't lost to the forbidden side of the kunoichi just yet. A simple push in the right direction would help her. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you all. I hope that you all achieve your goals and become strong shinobi who will work to make Konoha prosper, Irika said. Now then, how many of you know a jutsu? Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, and Shikamaru raised their hands. Okay then, come up to the front of the room. The 4 kids did so and Irika continued. Can you demonstrate them to the class, please? I'll go first, that way it won't be too troublesome, Shikamaru said as he stepped forward and faced Naruto. He then held his hands in the seal and everyone watched as his shadow went and connected to Naruto. Shadow possession success, Shikamaru droned as he rested his hands at his side, making Naruto do the same. Hey! What gives? Naruto cried as he struggled to control his movements. Shikamaru then reached behind him, making Naruto reach behind him. He then made Naruto grab the ruler on the desk and use it to poke Sasuke. The Uchiha growled and ripped the ruler away from Naruto while giving him a glare. Why are you glaring at me? He's the one making he do this, Naruto protested. Sasuke then went and glared at Shikamaru, who released the jutsu and stepped back. Troublesome, I would have made him poke Hinata, but then she would have gotten mad at me, and an angry woman is more troublesome than you being angry, Shikamaru explained. Okay, enough with that, now let's get on to seeing what the others have to show, Irika interjected. I suggest that we go outside for my jutsu, it's big, Sasuke told him. Irika nodded and said to the class, we're going outside to view the rest of the jutsu. The class cheered as they stampeded out the door, leaving behind a large dust cloud. After clearing away the dust, Irika and Mizuki saw that Naruto and Hinata were still inside. Naruto was patting Hinata's back since some of the dust got into her mouth. When she was done coughing, the two raced outside with the rest of the class. Irika and Mizuki just performed a shunshin to get there. Okay Sasuke, perform your jutsu, Irika said once he was sure that everyone was outside. Sasuke nodded and performed several hand seals before taking in a deep breath and declaring, Katan, Great Fireball Jutsu. A large fireball shot out of Sasuke's mouth and went into the sky where it evaporated into the clouds. Impressive Sasuke, Irika said as he and most of the class cheered. The ones who didn't cheer were Shino, because it roasted a few insects in the sky, Shikamaru, because it was too troublesome, Hinata, because Hyugas don't like Uchihas, and Naruto, because he didn't feel like it. Alright, Naruto, how about you go next? Irika suggested. Yosh! It's my turn! Naruto cheered as he ran to the front of the class and faced a row of practice targets. He made the correct hand seals and took in a deep breath before crying, Katan, Fire Bullet Jutsu. Several fist-sized fireballs flew out of his mouth and impacted against the targets, burning them to pieces. Don't use our equipment as firewood, you blockhead! Irika yelled as he whacked Naruto on the head with his clipboard. Naruto held his head in slight pain as the tendrils in his body wiggled around in anger. Now Hinata, let's see what you can do, Irika said as he and the class faced the shy girl. She took a deep breath before walking to the front of the class and made a chain of hand seals. Byakugan! Hinata cried as the veins in her eyes bulged and her Byakugan activated. Good! You can already activate your Dijutsu, Irika said as he made a mark on his clipboard. I can also perform the E8 trigrams, E8 palms, Hinata said. Is that so? Use Naruto as an example of what it can do. Consider this punishment for ruining academy equipment, Mizuki said. Surprisingly, neither child had any argument about this. Don't worry about it, Hinata. Just relax and you'll do fine, Naruto reassured her when he saw her apologetic look. Hinata took a deep breath and slipped into the Juken. She then darted forward and began to hit Naruto with her pointer and middle fingers. 2 palms. 4 plams. 8 plams. When she was finished, she jumped back and watched as Naruto stumbled forward. She then ran towards him and caught him as he fell down a little. Wow, you're getting better and better with your training, Naruto exclaimed. Hinata just blushed from the praise and opened up the closed tenketsu. Now let's go back inside so we can go over what you'll be learning, Iruka said. The class moved back inside, though Hinata had to help Naruto a little since he was still sore from her attack. Once they were back inside, Naruto was dying on the inside. Why? Because from what Iruka and Mizuki were telling them was that most of their classes would consist of going over theories, mathematics, and history. What did theories have to do with becoming a ninja? He did lighten up when he heard that they would be doing some taijutsu sparring every 2 days, and that they would be doing chakra control exercises every day. Kemi knows that he needs it desperately. They were let out for lunch an hour later and everyone went to their own corners. Naruto and Hinata sat under one of the trees that was littering the area to eat their lunch. Naruto had brought some of the sushi that Tsunade bought for him every once in a while. Hinata had a bento box that her mother had made for her. So Hinata, when is your sister coming out of you, mother? Naruto asked as he popped a sushi roll into his mouth. She said that it's supposed to be next month, Hinata told him as she chewed on some rice. I wonder what it's like to have a little sister, Naruto said as he looked at the sky. And maybe Hanabi will treat why you like one if why you come over often, Hinata suggested. Naruto nodded and chewed on some more sushi before he looked out of the corner of his eye and saw that Hinata looked down for some reason. Naruto hated to see his friend sad for any reason and would do anything to cheer her up. So he sent a small thread stealthily through the grass over to her feet before it slipped inside her sandal and began wiggling around. Hinata gasped as she felt the tickly feeling on her foot. She looked over to Naruto while biting her lip to see him looking away innocently, too innocently. And Naruto-kun, what are you dido-ho-hoing? Hinata whistled while her shoulders shook from her soft giggles. I have no idea what you're talking about, Hinata-chan, Naruto replied while laughing on the inside. Please stop, Naruto-kun, Hinata managed to giggle out. Naruto complied and retracted the thread, but not before it ran across her toes, causing Hinata to gasp out in surprise. What's got you looking so down? Naruto asked. I was just feeling a little sad for you, Hinata admitted, making Naruto confused. Why me? Naruto asked. Because why you don't have a FF family like me, Hinata said. Naruto shook his head and said, you don't have to worry about me, it doesn't hurt as much as it used to. Hinata just nodded and continued eating with her friend. After everyone had lunch, they moved into the courtyard where there were fighting rings in the dirt. Iruka and Mizuki were standing before the entire class waiting for everyone to gather around. Okay everyone, we're going to hold taijutsu matches to see how skilled everyone is. When your name is called, step into the arena, Iruka explained to them. You will fight until one of you ends up outside the arena, one of you gives up, or I call the match. First pair up is Choji AMD Shikamaru, Mizuki announced as he read the names off of the clipboard. The two friends stepped into the arena, but Choji looked extremely nervous. Iruka-sensei, I don't want to hurt my friend, Choji said. Iruka sighed and said, it's just a taijutsu match, Choji, and I highly doubt anybody here can hurt somebody too much. Naruto just grinned on the inside, too bad nobody knew about his abilities. Shikamaru sighed and said, I forfeit, it would be too troublesome to fight anyway. Iruka sighed and gave the win to Choji. Mizuki just put some marks on his board and called out the next pair. Kiba and Rinji. Kiba jumped into the field after he left Akamaru underneath a shady tree. His opponent was a civilian who had a smug look on his face. Didn't want you weak little puppy getting hurt? Rinji sneered. Kiba just growled and glared at him. Iruka, not wanting to see an angry Inuzuka get angrier, just started the match. Kiba leapt forward and dealt a punch to Rinji's chest and sent him flying. He landed just short of the ring and leapt to his feet with a snarl. Rinji ran towards Kiba and sent a sloppy punch at him. Kiba just scoffed at the attack and knocked the punch away before he tripped him and held a fist to Rinji's face. Forfeit, Kiba growled. I give up, Rinji cried as he looked at Kiba with fear. Winner, Kiba, Iruka declared. The Inuzuka got off of the civilian and walked back to where he left Akamaru and put him back on his head. Iruka then decided to call out the next set of fighters. Sasuke and Naruto. Many of the female portion of the class cheered when they heard the Sasuke's name was called. Naruto walked into the after getting a good luck from Hinata, the only female that didn't cheer for Sasuke. Are you two ready? Iruka asked. Let's get started already, Naruto shouted as he settled into his stance. His knees were bent, the right side of his body was facing Sasuke, and his right arm was positioned in a horizontal angle across from his chest. His left arm was set in the same position, but it was behind his back. HN was all that Sasuke said as he slipped into the Uchiha's interceptor fist. Begin! Iruka began the fight and stepped back, waiting to see what would happen. Neither of the two boys moved, each one was waiting for the other to start first. Well? What are you waiting for? Sasuke asked. Naruto smirked and said, I'm not gonna make the first move, that would be stupid unless you are absolutely sure that you're going to win. Then I guess I'll start us off, Sasuke said as he darted forward and aimed a ouch at Naruto's chest. The blonde boy ducked under Sasuke's outstretched arm and hit Sasuke under his arm, knocking him off balance before Naruto shoved him backwards with a good shoulder to the stomach. Had enough? Naruto asked as he watched Sasuke get his bearings. Naruto was crying on the inside because his poor ears were being assaulted by the loud protests of Sasuke's fangirls. Grr, take this! Sasuke roared as he darted forward and tried to deliver one powerful punch after another. Naruto was able to block most of them, but a couple were able to hit him on his shoulders, and one grazed his cheek. The Uzumaki then fell backwards and used his feet to kick Sasuke in the chest, making him back off for a moment. Naruto took the time to massage his right shoulder while Sasuke was planning his next move. The two of them then darted towards each other again. Wow! They're really going at it! Kiba exclaimed. Yeah, what do you think about this, Shikamaru? Choji asked as he ate his chips. Troublesome, I can see that they're really skilled fighters, Shikamaru said. The only one who doesn't look surprised is Hinata. Hey Hinata, doesn't Sasuke look amazing? Sakura asked as she stared at the Uchiha with hearts in her eyes. I'm just as surprised that he's able to keep up WW with Naruto Kekuin, Hinata said. What are you talking about? Sasuke's the best. There's no way he'll lose, Sakura protested, making the surrounding people lose their hearing for a moment. After she regained her hearing, Hinata said, I've sparred W with Naruto-kun, he's SS stronger than how he's FF fighting right now. Sakura just huffed and went back to watching the fight, or more importantly, watching Sasuke while mentally undressing him. Sasuke was standing on one side of the arena while taking some deep breaths. On the other side, Naruto just stood there, not having even broken a sweat, courtesy of his ungodly stamina. Before either of them could make their next move, Iruka appeared between them. That's enough. We've seen where each of you stand, now let's get to the other fights, Iruka said. Wait a minute! Who's the winner? Naruto asked. Iruka glared at him and said, It's a draw, you were both evenly matched. Sasuke glared at Naruto, but the Uzumaki just ignored him. Just wait, you nobody, I'll make sure that you know that your place is beneath me, Sasuke growled as he walked away to brood. Mizuki, who's next? Iruka asked. Sakura and Hinata, Mizuki said as he read the pair off of the board. The two girls had entered the ring and Hinata was taking deep breaths to calm her nerves. Once I'm done with you, I'm going to beat that blonde baka for taking Sasuke-kun's win, Sakura growled. Something in Hinata snapped, and she just wordlessly slipped into the juken and waited for Iruka to start the match. What's the matter? Too scared to talk to me? Sakura taunted. Naruto was about to yell at her to shut up when he saw the look on Hinata's face. Something told him that he should just watch. As soon as Iruka started the match, Sakura ran forward and sent a sloppy punch towards the Hyuga heiress. Hinata dodged the blow and flew at Sakura before she began to strike at her Tenketsu. Once Hinata jumped back, Sakura fell to the floor in a heap, ending the match. Don't you ever insult Naruto-kun again, Hinata said in a dark tone, without a single stutter. The winner is Hinata, Iruka stammered as he watched the short match. Hinata walked back to Naruto's side before she snapped out of trance she was in. As she looked around, she saw the pile of limbs that was formerly Sakura. Did I really do that? Hinata asked. After getting a confirming nod from Naruto, who felt like he couldn't trust his voice, Hinata fainted and fell into Naruto, who quickly caught her. I thought we finally got over the fainting, Naruto sighed as he went and propped Hinata up against the tree before sitting down next to her. While he was waiting for her to recover, the last few fights had occurred. The only one that was at least interesting was with the Ino girl. She was one of the few females that was able to fight like she had some skill. Of course, she wasn't as good as Hinata in Naruto's opinion, but he saw that she was a good person to be in second place for female fighters. While the teachers were going over the results of the spars, Naruto dared to wake up Hinata. But this time she seemed to be in a deep state of unconsciousness. Naruto had poked her and shook her but didn't get any results. Naruto then got a bright idea. He stood a good distance away and shouted, Hinata, the last cinnamon roll is being sold right now. What? Hinata screamed as she shot straight up and grabbed the collar of Naruto's trenchcoat while giving him a crazed look. Where is it? She screamed as she shook him like a madman or madwoman. Hey! You're awake! Naruto exclaimed, completely ignoring the fact that Hinata was about to juken him for the location of the imaginary cinnamon roll. This seemed to jolt Hinata back to reality, as she observed what was happening around her. Her hands were tightly gripping Naruto's coat, she was practically face to face with him, and the other students were staring at her with amused looks. Eep! Was all Hinata could say before her face turned into a tomato, and she fainted again. Naruto sighed as she fell forward into his arms. Probably not my best idea, Naruto muttered as he set Hinata against the tree before facing the rest of the class. Anyone got something smelly? Naruto asked. Choji stepped forward and handed Naruto some smelling salts. Naruto thanked him and held the smelling salts under Hinata's nose. Hinata opened her eyes and shot up. She looked around and saw that everyone was staring at her, causing her to burn with embarrassment. You're not going to faint again, are you? Naruto asked. Hinata just shook her head, not trusting her voice at the moment. Okay kids, we're going back into the classroom so you can get your textbooks, Iruka announced as he ushered everyone inside. Naruto sighed as he walked back inside. This was an eventful day. Konoha 10 years after Kyuubi attack. It was Naruto's 4th year in the academy, and he was highly bored with it. He honestly thought that he just went to a regular school for civilians half the time with all of these boring subjects. It was killing him on the inside. Naruto sighed as he looked around the classroom and observed his classmates. He noted how they had all changed in their own way. Shino didn't really change all that much, except he had gotten taller. Naruto was able to become one of Shino's good friends after he had just brushed a bug off of his shoulder instead of squishing it like most of the other kids. This led to Shino approaching him and questioning his actions, where Naruto told him that the bug wasn't bothering him so there was no need to crush it. Shino also accepted the fact that Naruto hated wasps, a hatred they deeply shared. Naruto was able to become a good friend with Choji. He was able to connect with the Akimichi because of their love to eat. Currently, their ramen showdown had them tied at 18 bowls, and they were determined to outdo each other. Becoming Shikamaru's friend was fairly easy, all he had to do was spend a day with him and do some cloud watching. It also helped that they played a few shogi games every once in a while. Naruto always fumed when he couldn't beat Shikamaru, which was every time. Ino also became one of Naruto's friends after a certain incident. The young Yamanaka was being teased about her lack of taijutsu skill and was on the verge of tears. Naruto, hating to see anyone bullied, stepped in and defended her. After he drove the bullies away, the two blondes talked for a while. They found out that they each had a hobby in gardening. Naruto had decided on adding a few flowers in his apartment to make it seem more homey. Ino had offered to give him help once in a while and they become friends after a while. Kiba was difficult. Naruto had tried to become his friend, but the Inuzuka didn't want to because of his standing in the class. Naruto was in the middle, but Kiba was towards the bottom, close to the position of the dead last. His pride wouldn't let him accept it, and he tried to surpass Naruto every day, only to fail most of the time. At least Akamaru liked the Uzumaki. Sasuke was one of the people Naruto couldn't connect with. After the Uchiha massacre, where Itachi, Sasuke's brother, had killed the entire clan save for him, Sasuke fell into a state of being the lone wolf. He never wanted to associate with anyone, and belittled others for any small mistake. Naruto wanted to become his friend because he knew about what it felt like to be alone, but gave up trying after dealing with the emo's attitude for a while. Then there was Sakura Haruno, daughter of Mabuki Haruno of the Civilian Council. She had hated Naruto with a passion after the very first day they started the academy. Naruto believed that it was because he had tied with Sasuke after their first match, but knew that it was also because of all the lies her parents had told her. He had met the Harunos, and knew that they hated him with a passion. He knew because they threw everything they had at him when he walked in front of their house, even the kitchen sink. And finally, there was Hinata, Naruto's first friend. She had gotten better with her training with the Hyugas and with her confidence. Naruto had found it strange that she would blush and stutter a lot when he was around, more than usual, but couldn't figure it out for the life of him. He had remembered the day when her strange behavior had started so clearly. Flashback 2 years ago. Naruto and Hinata were let out of the academy for the day, and were about to go to a dango shop to celebrate passing their test. The two kids hadn't even left the academy when trouble seemed to find them. "Why are you still in the academy, Hinata-sama?" a voice asked from behind them, laced with disgust. The two turned around to see Niji Hyuga, Hinata's cousin who Naruto had the pleasure of meeting when he went to the Hyuga compound once. Their first meeting was pleasant. And Niji and I-san, Hinata said as he glared at her, making her flinch. Naruto then stepped in front of Hinata and gave Niji a glare of his own. What do you want, team? Naruto asked. I'm just wondering why a weakling like her is still trying to be a ninja, Niji said as he crossed his arms. There is no hope for someone as weak as her in this world. Fate has decreed it. Naruto scoffed and said, Fate's mate, none of that destiny stuff is real. Niji glared at him and said, those are the words of a fool who doesn't know his place in life. Hinata-sama will always be weak and worthless. It's because of her kindness, isn't it? Naruto asked. Niji nodded and said yes, her compassion for others will be her undoing. Naruto closed his eyes and said, I don't believe so, Hinata-chan's kindness is her strength. Hinata looked up at Naruto with awe as he continued, she is kind because she is a caring person. She wants to help all of the people she meets, even if it hurts her in the process. Hinata-chan cares for you, but you just don't want to realize it. So go and play with your beliefs of fate and all that junk. But when your fate fails you, don't come crying to me. With that, Naruto took Hinata's hand in his own, making her blush, and left the academy, leaving a fuming Niji behind them. Naruto-kun, Hinata thought, you are so kind to me, so helpful. You're someone I would want to spend my life with. You make me feel so calm and happy all the time. Maybe I should talk to Ka-chan about this. Hinata just blushed and had a small smile on her face as she and Naruto made their way to the dango shop. Flashback end. Naruto was jolted out of his thoughts when Iruka and Mizuki walked inside the classroom. Each one was sporting a few faded bruises and a couple of shallow cuts. Iruka-sensei, what happened to you guys? Naruto asked. Iruka smiled and rubbed the back of his head. Well, me and Mizuki had a little spar yesterday. And we kinda went overboard with all the fighting. Over the years, Iruka had his opinion of Naruto changed after the Sandaime made him spend the day with the little Uzumaki. He had become nicer to him, except for when he was left to pay the bill at Ichiraku's whenever Iruka took Naruto there. While he was appalled at how much ramen Naruto could stuff into himself, his world was broken when he saw that Hinata could eat more ramen than Naruto. What's this wee business? You were the one who was throwing 20 kunai at me, Mizuki protested. Which one of us threw 2 Fumashuriken at the same time? Iruka shot back. Mizuki just blushed and turned around while whistling innocently. Everyone began to snicker at their sensei's argument. Iruka then decided to get on with today's lesson. Okay class, we're going to be going over our history of the Shodaime. This had caught Naruto's attention. He always wanted to learn more about the Shodaime since he was the only Konoha shinobi that had seen the Jiangu in action. He was currently fighting for second place of his list of favorite Hokages. First place going to his idol the Yondaime for saving the village from the Kyuubi. His Jiji was fighting the Shodaime for second place, he was the one who had given him his special gift. Can anyone tell me what noticeable events happened with the Shodaime besides him founding the village? Iruka asked. Sasuke raised his hand so Iruka picked him. The Shodaime battled Madara Uchiha in the Valley of the End where he defeated Madara, even after he summoned the Kyuubi no Kitsune, Sasuke said. All of his fangirls just gushed over everything he said. Correct, now can anyone tell me what else the Shodaime did? Iruka asked. This time, Naruto raised his hand. He was able to drive off an S-rank ninja from Takigakure when they tried to assassinate him, Naruto said. Where did you hear that? That's not in the textbooks, Iruka said. Naruto Baka probably made it up, Sakura huffed, causing everyone, even Sasuke, to stiffen before they sent glances to Hinata. Naruto was ready to restrain Hinata before she turned Sakura into paste, however, Iruka spoke up and drew everyone's attention to him. Naruto, can you tell us where you heard about that particular story? I haven't heard of it so I'm a little curious, Iruka said. Jiji told me, Naruto began, he was talking about the Shodaime one day and mentioned that he was targeted by many nations. The most noticeable one being an S-rank ninja from Taki. He never told me the ninja's name though. Okay class, I'll go and ask the Hokage about it and tell you all tomorrow, Iruka informed them. Hyuga compound later. The academy had let out for the day and Naruto and Hinata were walking to the Hyuga compound. Hinata's family had invited Naruto over for dinner, and even though he refused, Hitomi wouldn't take no for an answer. Both kids had entered the compound, and after greeting the guards headed for garden where they knew Hitomi would be. True to their thoughts, Hitomi was relaxing in the garden with a baby Hanabi in her lap. There was a big scare when Hanabi was born. Hitomi was starting to lose too much blood and was on the verge of death. But thanks to the efforts of Tsunade, she was able to pull through. She had to take it easy for a while, but is currently in good health. Hello Ka-chan, Hanabi-chan, Hinata greeted. Hina! Nato! Hanabi said as she waved to the two. Naruto just sighed, he would never be able to get her to learn to correctly pronounce his name. Hello Hinata-chan, Naruto-kun, Hitomi said as she stood up. Learn my name! Naruto yelled at Hanabi. The 4-year-old just giggled in response. Nato! She giggled, causing Hinata and Hitomi to do the same. Naruto just hung his head as a cloud of depression began to rain on him. Come on Nato-kun, why don't you tell us about your day? Hitomi teased. Naruto looked at her in horror while Hinata just fell to the floor laughing. Would you like to be called N Nato-kun, or Five-Fish K-kun? Hinata asked while holding in her laughter. Not you too, Hinata-chan! Naruto wailed. None of the women could take it anymore, and they fell to the ground laughing. Something amusing happen? Hayashi asked as he was drawn outside by the laughter. Tell them to stop making fun of me, Naruto pleaded. Hayashi just smirked and said, Now ladies, it's not nice to make fun of Naruto-san's name. All of the women just stared at him while Naruto grinned in triumph. Without inviting me to witness it happening, Hayashi finished. Naruto just stared at him in shock while the females just fell back into a laughing mess. After everyone recovered, they looked around to see Naruto found him over by a shrub wallowing in depression. Sorry Naruto-kun, Hinata said as she saw the depressed blonde. It's fine Hinata-chan, Naruto told her as he stood up. I was just playing around with you all. Hayashi sighed and said, I should have known, that prankster side of yours is getting more mischievous each day. What can I say? Pranking is fun, Naruto exclaimed with a large grin. As long as you don't prank my family, meaning me, my wife, and daughters, then I give you free rein, Hayashi said. Naruto just gave him a smile while there was a mischievous glint in his eye. Next day, Naruto slid into his desk with Hinata on his right, Shikamaru and Choji behind him, and Shino and Ino in front of him. He was able to get Shino to become a little bit social with the group. It wasn't much, but progress is progress. He also managed to get Ino over her little bit of fear for the Aburame. She was fine as long as his bugs didn't crawl onto her without her permission. So Iruka-sensei, did Jiji tell you about the Taki shinobi? Naruto asked when Iruka and Mizuki walked inside. Yes he did, Iruka said. I must say, you helped me get a good history lesson, Naruto. Iruka smiled at the blonde, who pumped his fist into the air in triumph. What did Hokage-sama tell you about that guy anyway? Choji asked while munching on a bag of chips. Iruka took a deep breath and began. Hokage-sama told me as much as he could remember since the incident happened when he was only a little older than you guys. Takigakure had sent an S-rank ninja to assassinate the Shodaime, one who was able to use the 5 basic elements of ninjutsu tirelessly. The Shodaime defeated him easily and demanded compensation from Taki. Wow, who knew that the Shodaime was such a popular guy, Ino commented. Well, he did create the first hidden village and help make the basics for the shinobi system, Shikamaru pointed out. Iruka nodded and said, Very good Shikamaru, seems like you've been studying really well. Not really, I just remember that particular sentence from one of your boring lectures, Shikamaru said, earning a few laughs from the class. Okay, all of you be quiet, Mizuki ordered, getting everyone to shut up. Now let's get started on today's lesson. What did we have planned again? We're supposed to go over the history of the Senju clan, Iruka said as he dug through his desk and pulled out a textbook. Isn't that the clan where the first 2 Hokages come from? Naruto asked. Iruka nodded and said yes, the Senju clan, which was one of the 2 clans that helped create the village along with the Uchiha clan. So the class went over their Konoha history for the rest of the day before they had a break for lunch and did shuriken training. Training Ground 27. Naruto had just gotten out of the academy and was currently entering his private training area. He would have gone with Hinata again, but this was one of 3 days that he had dedicated to training with the Jiangyu. As he entered the training area, he saw that there was someone else there. Iruka-sensei? What are you doing here? Naruto asked. His teacher was leaning against one of the trees as he observed the many cuts in another one. Well, Hokage-sama told me that you should clue me in on something since you seem to trust me so much, Iruka said. I have no idea what you're talking about, Naruto said, lying through his teeth. Actually, Naruto-kun, I think that you can let Iruka know, Hiruzen said as he entered the clearing. Are you sure, Jiji? I mean, he never liked me in the beginning, Naruto said, making Iruka guilty at the way he treated Naruto. Don't worry about it. If I hear the villagers talking about your abilities, then we both will know that Iruka is to blame, Hiruzen said. Naruto sighed and said, Okay, Iruka-sensei, whatever you see here, you are not to tell anyone. Got it? Iruka, surprised by Naruto's seriousness of the moment, agreed. Naruto sighed and shrugged off his trenchcoat and showed Iruka the stitches on both of his forearms and the one that ran down his arm. Iruka was shocked to say the least, and even more so when he saw the mask attached to Naruto's back. What happened to you? Iruka cried. Nothing, Naruto said. This is something that I've had since I was born. So Naruto told Iruka the story that the Sandaime told him, causing the academy teacher to look at the Hokage in confusion. The aged leader just sent Iruka a look that he'll explain it later. So what is this? Iruka asked as he motioned to the stitches. Naruto just grinned and held out his arm. Iruka watched in amazement as crimson threads come out of Naruto's skin and began to wiggle around in the air. Naruto then launched his arm at the tree and pulled off an apple that was hanging on the branch. Remember the Tucky ninja that attacked the Shodaime? Naruto asked. Iruka nodded, so he continued. This was the special ability that he had. But Hokage-sama told me that he was only able to use all 5 elements, Iruka pointed out. I did, but that was one of the abilities that was granted to him by this special power, Hiruzen said. What do you mean? Iruka asked. I can take the hearts of my enemies and use their elemental affinities, Naruto said. But I can only use their primary affinity according to the scroll. That's a little creepy, Iruka said. Hiruzen chuckled and said, Just wait for the next part. You'll probably be in shock. Iruka just looked at the Sandaime before looking back at Naruto. The boy had placed his hands in the Tora seal and began to concentrate. Jiangu, activate! Naruto cried as the mask on his back began to jump, pulling the skin with it. The stitching along Naruto's back opened up and his fire heart jumped out after morphing into its 9-tailed fox form. Iruka was about to panic, but a quick reassuring glance from Hiruzen was all he needed to keep calm. Is this another ability of the Jiangu? Iruka asked. Yup. I can make bodies for the hearts I get with my threads, isn't that awesome? Databao. Naruto cried as he grinned. This is a really interesting ability. But can it help you with making a bunshin? Iruka asked with a smirk. Naruto just dropped his head in shame as he remembered that was his worst jutsu. What's this about the bunshin no jutsu? Hiruzen asked. It's my worst jutsu. Every time I try it, it fails. Naruto wailed. I keep telling you to put more chakra into it, Iruka yelled. I put as much chakra into it as possible, Naruto yelled back. Before the two could continue yelling, the sound of someone face palming could be heard. The two looked over to see the Hokage with a red handprint on his face as he looked at the two with annoyance. Naruto, instead of trying to put all your chakra into just one clone, try to make many clones, Hiruzen said. Try to make at least 20. Naruto looked at the old man with confusion but complied. He began to focus his chakra in the way he was supposed to when making clones, but instead of trying to make just one illusion, he focused on making at least 20 clones. Bunshin no jutsu! Naruto cried as the small clearing they were in was enveloped in a large cloud of white smoke. After a lot of coughing and hacking from everyone who had inhaled some of it, they opened their eyes and the two younger males dropped their jaws in shock. The field was filled to the brim with Naruto bunshins. There were bunshins in the trees, hanging off of tree branches, and there were even bunshins that were standing on top of one another. As I thought, Hiruzen muttered. But how? He can't even make one! Iruka cried. Hiruzen sighed and said, The answer's simple, Naruto has more chakra than half the village. So when you kept telling him to put more chakra in the jutsu, you were unintentionally making him overload the jutsu. Ha! I knew I was awesome! Naruto cried as he ran around the field cheering. Iruka put his head down in shame and said, Maybe we should check the chakra levels of students in the year we start going over chakra. I'll be sure to mention that in the next council meeting, Hiruzen said as he watched Naruto cheer with amusement. Naruto-kun, come here for a moment, Hiruzen said. Naruto jogged over to the Sandaime after he dispelled the bunshin and cleared the field of them. What's up, Gigi? Naruto asked as he grinned at him. The Hokage smiled and said, Since you seem to have an abundance of chakra, I think I'll teach you a new jutsu. He held up a hand to stop the boy from celebrating. However, I'll only teach you this jutsu if you can make at least 7 bunshin. Naruto grinned and said, Get ready to teach me a new jutsu, Gigi. I'll be waiting, it'll be a nice break from all the paperwork that I have to do, Hiruzen said with a chuckle. Now then, I believe it's time I got back to my office, the Hokage said, preparing to do a shunshin. Wait, Gigi, Naruto said, preventing him from leaving. Is something wrong? Iruka asked as he watched the blonde with worry in his eyes. Yeah, I seem to know a jutsu, but I've never known about it before, Naruto said. Maybe you're starting to activate another part of the Jiangu, Hiruzen told him. When Naruto looked at him in confusion, he continued. You are able to learn the jutsu that the person whose heart you took knows. My thoughts are that since you've matured some more mentally, you are starting to discover them. So I should start to know more jutsu now? Naruto asked. Yes, you will be discovering that you know jutsu that you originally didn't know, Hiruzen explained. Promise me that you will be careful with any new jutsu, proper practice with them will help you to use them better. Don't worry, Gigi, I promise, Naruto said as he gave the Sandaime a reassuring grin. The Hokage then vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving just Naruto and Iruka in the clearing. Hey, Iruka-sensei, Naruto began, does this mean that if I want to make just one clone, I just try to put in as little chakra as possible? Iruka nodded and said yes, and I'm sorry, if I had realized that you had more chakra than normal, I would have been able to properly help you. Naruto waved him off and told him, it's fine. The important thing is that we know the problem now. You know something, Naruto, Iruka started, I envy you. You envy me? Naruto asked. Why would you be jealous of me? Iruka smiled at him and said, because you're able to look on the bright side of everything. So how about I treat you to some ramen as a form of apology? Now Naruto wouldn't accept any type of apology unless it was an oral one, but when it came to apology ramen, all his morals went out the window, especially if he was the one that didn't have to pay for any of it. Yay! Ramen, let's go get some ramen, Naruto sang as he began to skip towards Ichiraku's. Iruka followed him, already feeling his wallet getting lighter. He would have to hold another funeral for it tonight. Konoha 12 years after Kyuubi attack. For once in his life, Naruto Uzumaki woke up before his alarm clock, something that has been prophesied to bring about the end of the world. Besides him not eating ramen. Of course, it may have to do with the fact that he was going to graduate from the academy today and earn his headband alongside the rest of his classmates. Naruto, getting more and more excited, jumped out of bed and ran out to his balcony where he held out his arms and felt the cool breeze touch over his skin. After observing the rising sun illuminate Konoha some more, he walked back in to see that his breakfast was already made, and Fox sitting next to the table. Naruto grinned as he looked at Fox. He had finally found a way to make his heart have a little bit of a personality. It was difficult, but being Naruto, he didn't give up until he got something. Thankfully, it was something positive. All it took was installing a bunch of commands into the threads that were connected to the heart. It was a long and tiring process, mostly due to the fact that he wanted Fox to act like a fox and have a little human qualities, like cleaning and such. After eating his cereal, he called Fox back into his body. He had decided to sleep with his heart out, mostly because it was very uncomfortable when he went on his back. Naruto then put on his trench coat and walked out the door. He then made his way to the Hyuga compound. Hyuga compound. Aren't you early, Naruto-san? One of the guards asked as he and his partner watched the young Uzumaki approach. Yeah, I'm just a little excited today, Naruto told them. Today's the day I become a ninja. Good luck then, we hope that you make it, the other guard said as he gave the blonde a small smile. After walking past the gate guards, he was waiting by the front porch of the house that Hinata's family stayed. He dozed off after a while of waiting as he sat on a small bench. He groggily awoke some time later to an empying tapping on his shoulder. After getting up and rubbing away the sleep from his eyes, he looked around to see that nobody was within his sight. Boo! A small white sheet with eye holes yelled as it popped up in front of Naruto. Ghost! Naruto screamed as he jumped into the air and grabbed onto the roof of the porch, digging a few tendrils into it to keep him up there. Suddenly, the sheet began to giggle before it was pulled up to reveal a smiling Hanabi. Got you, Nato and Aizen, Hanabi said while giggling. Naruto groaned while he separated himself from the roof and landed in front of the giggling girl while sporting an evil smile. So little Hanabi-chan likes to laugh, Naruto thought out loud as he took small steps towards the young Hyuga. Hanabi's eyes went wide as she started to back up, realizing what Naruto was about to do. However, she found that she couldn't move and looked down to see that Naruto had sent some threads to wrap around her legs while she was distracted. And Nato and Aizen, I'll be a good girl, Hanabi said as she felt some more threads wrap around her arms and hold them up while some others wiggled slowly down her arms and into her shirt. Naruto-kun, As much as I would hate to ruin your and Hanabi-chan's fun, we really need to go to the A Academy, Hinata said as she stepped out onto the porch while slightly hiding behind the door. Naruto sighed and retracted the threads, letting Hanabi go as she ran up to her sister and hugged her. Thank you, Nei-chan. Nato and I was going to make me too tired for training again, Hanabi said. Maybe you should remember that it's not nice to play with people's fears, Hayashi said as he appeared behind the sisters. Unless it's someone you don't like. Naruto then put on a triumphant grin and said, yeah. Maybe I'll put on an octopus costume and wait for you to wake up. If you did that, you'll probably end up with a juken palm strike to the stomach, Hayashi pointed out. Hanabi is one of those people who attack when scared. Unlike you who decides to go and inspect roofs. Naruto just gave Hayashi a small glare before he huffed and turned around. Hayashi just chuckled and ushered both him and Hinata out to the academy and sent Hanabi inside. You know you want a son, Hitomi said as she gave him a small smile. I did, after Hinata, but I'm happy with my daughters, Hayashi told her. Besides, it's entertaining to mess with Naruto once in a while. It's like watching Kushina all over again. Hitomi giggled and said, except there's no pile of boys who can't keep their mouths closed every 2 blocks. Hayashi groaned and said, don't remind me, I was in one of those piles at least 3 times a week. Hizashi was the smarter of you two, Hitomi said. I remember the amusement on his face when he would have to drag you home after running into Kushi-chan. The elders kept belittling me for being beaten by a worthless nobody every time it happened, the Hyuga head muttered. Remind me why they're still here? Hitomi asked. Because the stick that they all have seems to grant them with extended life, Hayashi told her. Academy. Naruto and Hinata entered the classroom to see that they were still a little early. The only people there were Shikamaru, Choji, Shino, and a few other kids who were unimportant. The duo took their seats in front of Shikamaru and Choji. As usual, the Nara was sleeping and the Akimichi was chomping on a bag of chips. Hey guys, what's up? Naruto greeted as he sat down. Hi Naruto, Hinata, everything's fine, I'm just a little nervous about this exam, Choji said. I mean, what if I fail? Troublesome, you're not going to fail, Choji, Shikamaru said as he laid his head on his arms and looked at his round friend. All you need to do is stay calm and do your best. Yeah. What Shikamaru said, Databeo. Naruto agreed. Why you'll do fine, Choji-kun, Hinata reassured the Akimichi. Choji visibly relaxed and said, thanks guys, I really needed that. While the 3 friends were talking, several more people walked into the room after them, including Sasuke and Kiba, though the latter was sporting a small bruise on his cheek. Whoa, what happened to you, man? Naruto asked. I got into an argument with one of my clan members, and it kinda got to the point where we were throwing punches, Kiba explained as he rubbed the back of his head, making sure not to knock Akamaru off of his spot. Naruto was able to get Kiba to warm up to him and got the dog lover to join him and his friends whenever they hung out. What were you guys arguing about? Choji asked. Kiba sighed as aid, which dog food would be better for our partners. Really? Fighting over something like that is so troublesome, Shikamaru said as he readjusted his head so it was facing Kiba, but still laying down. It was at that moment that the whole building began to shake, causing everyone to grab onto something to keep steady. What is this? An earthquake? Kiba cried as he held onto the desk for dear life. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like a normal one, Choji yelled as he tried to keep himself steady. How would you know what a real earthquake is and what isn't? Naruto cried. I'll tell you later, Choji yelled as he grabbed a flying bag of chips with his teeth. Hinata had then lost her grip on the desk after another violent shake and was about to hit her head on the floor when Naruto reached out and grabbed her by her midriff and held her tightly against his body. If she wasn't so frightened at the moment, she might have fainted with happy thoughts. First. Suddenly, the door flew open and the shaking stopped. Everyone looked over to see that Ino and Sakura were arguing about who got to the academy first, the winner getting the right to sit next to Sasuke. Everyone sighed, relieved that it wasn't a real earthquake, and annoyed that the 2 females had practically gave them some heart attacks. I almost had a heart attack, Naruto sighed. He then realized that he was holding Hinata next to him, who had fainted when she realized her position. Naruto placed her back into her seat, but if one looked closely, they would have seen a small blush on his cheeks. Wow, she's so soft and no. Bad thoughts. Naruto shook his head to get his head clear. Shikamaru sighed and sank back into his seat. I can't believe they made me do something as troublesome as preparing for an earthquake. Yeah, saving your own life is so troublesome, Kiba told him while rolling his eyes, getting some of the people nearby to chuckle. Shikamaru just shrugged it off and went back to sleep with a snore. Naruto, deciding to wake Hinata up, took out one of the emergency cinnamon buns and waved it underneath Hinata's nose. Her eyes popped open and, quick as lightning, snatched the item out of Naruto's hand before devouring it. Welcome back to the land of the living, Choji joked as he watched the ordeal. He would have tried to take the cinnamon bun before Naruto waved it under the Hyuga's nose, but remembered the last time he tried that. The jukin is something that's very painful. Everyone sit down and shut up, Iruka yelled as he walked into the room and used his big head jutsus to get everyone's attention. After everyone sat down, Iruka took his place in the front of the room and addressed the class. Today we're going to be holding the graduation exams to see who is able to become a shinobi of Konohagakure no Sato. The exam will be conducted in 4 parts, a written test, kunai and shuriken, a taijutsu endurance test, and performing the 3 basic jutsu that all shinobi know how to use. We'll begin once Mizuki decides to get here with the written test. Naruto was only a little scared. Written tests weren't his forte, nor were they his worst. It was just that he preferred to do active works instead of writing things down. A few minutes later, Mizuki came into the classroom with a small box in his arms. Sorry I'm late, Iruka. I had misplaced the box, so I tore up the room looking for it, Mizuki said as he rubbed his head sheepishly. Iruka waved him off and said, just hand me the box so I can pass them out. Mizuki nodded and handed the box to Iruka while cursing on the inside. He was supposed to pass them out so he could place a genjutsu on the demon brat's test. After the written test was over, seriously, who cares about written tests? The only one that matters is the one in the Chunin exams. Everyone went outside to prepare for the next test. The one where they would throw kunai and shuriken at the target and try to earn as much points as possible. Okay, I'll call you guys up alphabetical order, so Shino's up first, Iruka said as he grabbed a clipboard to keep score. Shino walked up to the starting point and grabbed 10 kunai and shuriken. He first threw the kunai, half of them hitting a bullseye, and 2 of them hiding the target ring. He then moved on to the next target and threw his shuriken. 6 had hit their bullseye and 1 had hit the target. Good work, Shino. Next up is Choji, Iruka said as he marked down Shino's score. Choji walked up and grabbed his own set of kunai and shuriken. For the kunai, 3 of them hit the bullseye while 3 more hit the target. With the shuriken, 4 of them hit the bullseye and 2 more hit the target. Nice job. Next is Sakura, Iruka announced. Watch me Sasuke you in. The pink bands Sakura screeched as she grabbed the weaponry and began to throw them. Everyone held their ears to prevent them from bleeding. Sakura prepared to throw the kunai and wait. Why am I telling you guys about her? Who cares, she just passed with the bare minimum that was needed to pass. Now let's move on to the important people. Next is Hinata, Iruka said, not really paying attention to Sakura. That was until she almost took off a chunk of his hair with a kunai. He was about ready to fail her for almost ruining his fashion, but was able to keep himself under control. Don't worry, Hinata-chan, you'll do great, Naruto reassured the timid heiress as she approached the throwing point. Hinata took a deep breath and grabbed her set of kunai and shuriken. For the kunai, all of them hit her target, while 7 of them hit the bullseye. With the shuriken, only 8 of them hit the target, and all of them hit the bullseye. Great job, Hinata, Iruka praised. Hinata blushed under his praise and walked back to where her friends were. As she looked down to hide her blush, she bumped into someone, and looked up to see the smiling face of Naruto. That was great, Hinata-chan, Naruto said. Hinata turned into a tomato and stuttered a thanks as she turned away and watched the others as they did their exam. Kiba, you're up next, Iruka said as he watched the young Inuzuka race towards the starting point and grabbed a set of kunai and shuriken. Kiba did decently with the weapons, considering the fact that his clan likes to be up close and personal when fighting. He got 5 bullseyes with the kunai, and 3 hits in the target area. He got 4 bullseye with the shuriken and had 2 hits in the target area. Good job, Kiba. Next is Shikamaru. Troublesome, let's get this over with, Shikamaru muttered as he trudged forward. He grabbed the set and began to throw them. He got 3 bullseyes and 3 hits with the kunai, and 5 bullseyes and 2 hits with the shuriken. The only reason he put any effort into it was because he didn't want to have his score anywhere near Sakura's. Good work, Shikamaru. Sasuke, you're next, Iruka said as he marked down the Nara's score. Sasuke said as he walked forward and grabbed his set. He threw all of his weapons and got all bullseyes with each one. Excellent, Sasuke, Iruka praised, but he couldn't be heard over all of the screaming that all of Sasuke's fangirls did. Sasuke grunted as walked back to his corner to fantasize about killing Itachi. The only reason Sasuke won was because Itachi was sick and he didn't want to kill his little brother. Naruto, it's your turn, Iruka said as he watched the young blonde step forward. Yash! I'm up, Dadabayo! Naruto cried as he grabbed his set of kunai and shuriken. For the junai, 8 of them hit the bullseye and the other 2 hit close to it. 9 of his shuriken hit the bullseye and the last one missed when it bounced off of another one, but it still hit the target. Great job, Naruto! Iruka said as he watched the blonde cheer. That was GG great, Naruto-kun! Hinata softly exclaimed. It was, wasn't it? Naruto asked with a smile on his face. Yeah, but you didn't get the best score, Choji pointed out. Naruto shrugged his shoulders and said, so? As long as I pass, it's good enough for me. Last one up is Ino, Iruka said. The young Yamanaka walked up and grabbed her set of kunai and shuriken. When she threw her kunai, she was able to get 5 bullseye and 2 hits in the target. For the shuriken, she got 5 bullseye and 3 hits. That's it for this part of the exam, Iruka said. Now let's move on to the training area for the taijutsu portion of the exam. Everyone started to move towards the taijutsu field where Mizuki was finishing up some stretches. Alright, this exam is going to be fairly simple, Iruka said as he stood in front of the group. You guys are going to have matches against Mizuki here. The goal is to last at least 2 minutes against him. Once the 2 minutes are up, you can quit. Now let's get started. Because I'm lazy, we're going to skip everyone and go straight to Naruto. Why? Because I'm the author and I say so. Okay Naruto, you're up, Iruka said as he watched Sasuke stalk off of the field and go back into his little fantasy world where he stood on top of 20 Itachi corpses. Let's get started, Dadabayo! Naruto exclaimed as he jumped into the field and faced Mizuki. Mizuki smirked and said, well, aren't you confident? This is going to be easy. All I have to do is knock him out of the ring. Naruto grinned and got into his personal stance before he stared down Mizuki. Mizuki started off the match by dashing towards Naruto and aiming a punch towards his head. Naruto ducked underneath it and threw a fist towards Mizuki's side. The academy teacher retreated to gain some distance, but Naruto raced forward to keep him from getting any room. Naruto threw a punch towards Mizuki's stomach, and the Chunin turned to the side to let Naruto's hit fly past him while he went to knee the student in the stomach. The hit sent Naruto back towards the edge of the ring. Mizuki-sensei, that was a little hard, Naruto said as he hunched over a little. Well, you can expect your enemies to hit you harder when you're out on a mission, Mizuki replied. Naruto smirked and said, then let's keep going, this little thing isn't going to stop me. Naruto raced forward and aimed a kick at Mizuki. The Chunin grabbed the outstretched leg and proceeded to throw Naruto away. The Uzumaki landed dangerously close to T edge and almost fell out until he caught himself and regained his balance. Mizuki then charged towards Naruto and threw a punch towards him in an attempt to send him out of the ring. Naruto twisted his body and went to punch him out of the ring. Time! Iruka yelled as his watch signaled 2 minutes. Naruto jumped back and wiped the small amount of sweat from his brow. Phew! That was intense, Mizuki-sensei, Naruto said. Mizuki nodded his head, but was screaming in anger on the inside. Another chance was lost. Later, once everyone had finished with their taijutsu matches, Iruka had moved everyone inside where they would finish up with the ninjutsu exam. They would wait in one room before being called into a separate room for testing. Naruto was standing in front of Iruka and Mizuki where they sat at the desk with a small row of headbands with them. Despite his confidence, Naruto was slightly fidgeting with a little nervousness in the back of his head. Okay Naruto, you just need to perform the 3 basic ninjutsu, Iruka began, meaning that you have to do a henge, kawarimi, and make at least 3 bunshin. Got it? Yeah, let's do this, Naruto cried, making the 2 academy instructors chuckle. If only we could grade him on his confidence, Mizuki muttered, keeping up his nice guy act. First, henge into the sandame, and act like him for a few seconds, Iruka said. Got it, henge. Naruto transformed into Hiruzen Sarutobi perfectly, and stared down at the 2 instructors. Iruka, the transformed Naruto began in Hiruzen's voice, you should really think about becoming a Jounin sensei one of these days. You too, Mizuki. After that, Naruto poofed back into himself while sporting a wide grin. Good job, Naruto, Mizuki said while straining his smile to make it look sincere. Okay, next we'll do the kawarimi, ready? Iruka asked as he prepared to throw a blunted kunai at the blonde. Yup, let me have it, Naruto said. Iruka chucked the kunai at Naruto, and it hit the blonde in the chest. Naruto's eyes went wide before white smoke erupted around him, and revealed himself to be a wooden log. The real Naruto came out of the closet that was behind where he was standing. "Praise the log," Naruto said while holding his hands in a small prayer. "Amen," both Iruka and Mizuki said as they did a small prayer as well. "Now I just have to do some bunshin, right?" Naruto asked. Iruka nodded and said, "You just have to do at least 3. "Okay, here I go." "Databao!" Naruto exclaimed as he made the hand seal and a cloud of smoke blinded the room. "We really need to do something about how much smoke you use," Iruka said as he waved the smoke out the window. Once the smoke was clear, Iruka looked back to see 5 Narutos standing before him. "Excellent, Naruto! You're now an official ninja of Konoha," Iruka praised as he handed Naruto his headband. "Haha! I did it, Databao!" Naruto cheered as he grabbed his headband and ran out the room. "Oh great, now I'm going to have to change my plan," Mizuki thought as he closed his eyes in frustration, Iruka oblivious to his friend's thoughts. Naruto ran out of the room and raced out of the building to see all the people who had graduated and were showing off to their parents. As he walked over to where Hinata and her guard Ko would be waiting, he heard people whispering about him. "I can't believe they let that thing graduate. How could they let it become more powerful? After all, he's..." "Quiet. You know it's forbidden to talk about it." Naruto just shrugged off the comments and walked over to where his blue-haired friend was. Hinata beamed upon seeing Naruto with a headband around his forehead. Naruto saw the headband that Hinata had around her neck, and in the back of his head thought that she looked cute with it like that. "I am so glad that you passed, Naruto-kun," Hinata said as she gave him a soft smile. "Hee hee, yeah, now we can go on missions and become awesome ninja," Naruto said. "Naruto-san," Ko began, "Hayashi-sama and Hitomi-sama have invited you to join them for dinner in celebration of your graduation." "Really? That sounds great," Naruto said as he smiled brightly. Later that night, Training Ground 27. Naruto had left the Hyuga compound after a large, filling dinner and decided to visit his private training grounds for a small trip down memory lane. He remembered making all those slash marks and drilling holes in the trees and chuckled as he remembered every time he got frustrated when it wouldn't work. But now he was highly skilled with his Jiangu, and there was still so much to learn. He was broken out of his thoughts when he heard some fighting in the distance. Now being at one of Konoha's training grounds, this wasn't anything unusual, but it was strange for people to be out here at this time of the day. Naruto ran through the woods and crawled through some bushes when he saw who was there. In front of him was Mizuki and Iruka. The former was twirling a giant shuriken in one hand while another one was strapped to his back. Iruka was pinned to the tree by several shuriken. Next to him was a large scroll. "Why are you betraying us, Mizuki?" Iruka yelled. Naruto was shocked. One of his instructors was betraying the village he had sworn to serve. "Because Iruka, this village is falling to pieces," Mizuki began. "The wise Hokage lets a monster run free in our village and then has the nerve to tell us that it's a human like us." "You're delusional," Iruka yelled. "Maybe I am in your eyes, but your opinion won't matter when you're dead," Mizuki yelled as he threw the shuriken he was twirling towards Iruka. Naruto jumped out of the bushes and caught the shuriken by the middle ring before throwing it away. "And Naruto?" Iruka cried as he saw the blonde appear in front of him. "Iruka-sensei, are you alright?" Naruto asked as he kept his eye on Mizuki, who appeared to be surprised by Naruto's interference as well. Mizuki got out of his shock and said, "Well, what do we have here? The demon brats decided to show up as well. Now I can blame you for Iruka's death before I kill you and get rid of your filth." Naruto growled and said, "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, remember it, you team." "Naruto, you have to get away from here," Iruka yelled. "I'm not going to leave you here, Iruka-sensei," Naruto declared. Mizuki smirked and said, "Say Naruto, do you want to know why everyone hates you?" Naruto froze and looked at Mizuki with curious eyes, making the traitor almost laugh at how innocent the demon tried to appear. "Don't do it, Mizuki," Iruka yelled. "It's forbidden." "You see, 12 years ago, the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked the village and was defeated by the Yondaime, who sacrificed himself in the process," Mizuki said. Naruto looked at him and asked, "What does this have to do with anything?" "After the attack, a law was made. A law that everyone except you knows about," Mizuki said. "What law?" Naruto asked, almost afraid to find out. "Mizuki, shut up," Iruka yelled in vain. "A law that hid the fact that you are the Kyuubi reborn. Now die, you damn fox! Mizuki cried as he threw his last giant shuriken. Naruto was frozen in shock at the revelation and didn't even register what Mizuki just did. He then heard the sound of flesh being ripped and some blood falling on his face. Naruto looked up to see the smiling face of Iruka. Hey, Iruka began while a small trail of blood trailed down his lips. You alright, Naruto? It was at this time that Naruto realized that his sensei had ripped himself free and used his body to shield the blonde. Iruka-sensei? Naruto whispered as he shook in fear. Am I really the Kyuubi? No, Iruka said as he shook his head, you just contain it. I admit, I hate the Kyuubi, but I don't hate Naruto Uzumaki, the future Hokage of Konoha. With that statement, Iruka ripped out the shuriken that was in him and threw it to the side. Naruto was at tears at this point, and a few had made their way down his cheeks. My, how touching, Mizuki mocked. Now let's get to the part where I kill you both already. Mizuki then lunged forward, kunai in hand, and went to stab Iruka in the back of the head. However, he found that he couldn't move as soon as he got within 5 feet of the Chunin. He looked towards his arm and saw crimson threads wrapped around him. He followed the trail of them, and was shocked when he saw them disappearing into Naruto's skin. If you ever attack my sensei again, I'll kill you! Naruto growled as his threads squirmed through the air. D-Demon! Mizuki yelled as he struggled to get away from the threads. Naruto threw the traitorous Chunin into a tree and began to stitch up the wound on Iruka's back. Once he was satisfied with his work, he turned around and watched as Mizuki trembled while holding a kunai in his direction. All traitors to Konoha must be killed, Naruto said in an emotionless voice as he took off his trenchcoat and handed it to Iruka, who took it and watched Naruto as he slowly walked forward to Mizuki. Jiangu, activate! Naruto shouted as he put his hands into the Tora seal. Fox had come out of his back and slowly walked towards Mizuki along with Naruto. Doton Earth Flows Spears! Mizuki yelled as he slammed his hands into the ground. A wave of rock-made spears shot out of the ground and made their way to Naruto and Fox. Both of the thread users jumped out of the way and landed in the trees where Naruto started to make several hand seals. Katon Fire Bullet Jutsu! Naruto yelled as he and Fox began to shoot several small fireballs at Mizuki. The former academy instructor jumped away and looked around frantically for his opponents. He threw a kunai into the tree where he saw a flash of crimson, but only ended up hitting the tree. He backed up against the tree and grabbed one of his giant shuriken that was nearby. Katon Fireball Jutsu! Naruto shouted as he and Fox simultaneously blew out fireballs that were about their size. Mizuki jumped into the trees and landed on a branch when Fox leapt at him and tried to slice him with its claws. The traitor jumped back, only to be sent flying forward by Naruto, who had kicked the traitor in the back. Naruto landed in front of Mizuki, and Fox landed behind him. Stay away! Mizuki yelled as he held the giant shuriken out in front of him like a shield. Naruto just ignored him and held out his arms as several tendrils shot towards him and wrapped him up. But Mizuki then fell apart into mud. Iwa Bunshin, Naruto muttered as he looked around for Mizuki. Doton Earth Fist! Mizuki yelled as he appeared behind Naruto and attempted to slam his rock-covered fist into the blonde's head. Naruto was hit and crumpled into the ground before he erupted into smoke. What? Kage Bunshin! Mizuki exclaimed. He then jumped to the side as the real Naruto slammed his fist into the ground where he stood. Fox then blew out a fireball at Mizuki once Naruto was out of its range. Doton, Doria Hiki! Mizuki slammed his hands on the ground and a wall of stone rose up and defended him from the fire. Jiangu, Threading Needles! Naruto cried as he shot threads towards Mizuki and wrapped him up in them. This time, it was the real one that was captured. Let me go, Kyuubi! Mizuki yelled. Naruto gave him a cold glare and said, No, you're going to get what traitors deserve. Well said, Naruto-kun. Everyone turned to see Hiruzen standing there along with Tsunade 6A and B with him. How long have you been here, Jiji Bachan? Naruto asked. Tsunade put a hand to his chin and said, About the same time the Mizuki clone fell to pieces. Aw, you missed all of my cool jutsu, Naruto whined as he tightened his grip on Mizuki. He then looked back over to his prisoner and asked, Do you need this guy for interrogation or anything? Hiruzen shook his head and said, No, he was foolish enough to write his plans out and failed to burn everything before he left his apartment. So we know who he was working for and that there was nobody else involved in this. He even wrote down the place that he was going to drop off the scroll at. Naruto's face slightly lit up and he asked, Does that mean that I can take it? Yes, Mizuki is now useless to us when it comes to information, Hiruzen said. Naruto turned around and faced Mizuki with an unnerving smile on his face. Mizuki struggled harder to get away, but the threads were very tight. Naruto raised his free arm and aimed it at Mizuki, or more precisely, his chest. Several threads shot out and impacted against Mizuki's chest before they began to dig into him. Mizuki let out screams of pain, but only Naruto and Iruka were affected. Naruto because this was only the second time he did it, and Iruka because Mizuki used to be his friend. But now that Iruka thought about it, Mizuki rarely acted friendly in the past. Mizuki's screams stopped once the threads began to pull something out of him. First they ripped off his chunin vest and part of his shirt before a moving object was hanging in the air. Once the threads disconnected from Mizuki, he dropped down to the ground dead. Naruto closed his eyes for a moment as a pulse of blue chakra traveled up to the heart and engulfed it for a moment. He opened his eyes and said, "It's the earth element. Iruka-sensei, can you throw me the scroll in my coat pocket?" Iruka, still stunned by the event, just nodded dumbly and threw Naruto the scroll. The Uzumaki opened it up, and pressed his hand on the kanji for earth, and pushed some chakra into it. From the scroll came a squarish mask that had a slightly open mouth and yellow markings on it. Naruto placed the mask on the heart, and everyone watched as more crimson threads began to wrap around the heart, and began to take the shape of a humanoid figure. The mass of threads fell to the floor and became a tall figure, about 7 feet high, with thick arms that had 4-fingered hands. Thick legs came from the bottom and allowed the creature to stand on its own. The mask settled on the middle of the chest, right between its large shoulders. I really need some of you people to draw for me. As I said before on my profile, I am a horrible artist. Can someone please help me? Everyone meet Titan! Naruto introduced the crimson construct as it took a bow. Very interesting, Naruto, Tsunade said as she inspected the creature. I assume that it's going to be a defense type for you? Naruto shrugged and said, more or less. Depends on the type of ninja I fight. Hiruzen was confused. What do you mean? He asked. Well, remember Iruka-sensei saying the water is weak to earth, so I'll fight water users with Titans since he'll be able to beat them easily. Iruka laughed and said, so you really do remember my boring lectures, you brat. Naruto placed his hands behind his head and said, well, you do repeat them about 3 times a year. Iruka blushed and looked away in embarrassment. The ANBU had taken Mizuki's body away for examination of any items on him, to see whether they had any connection to who he was originally working for. Good work, Naruto. You'll receive a B-rank payment for this later. I'll give it to you when you come in to take your picture for your ID card, Hiruzen said. ANBU, take Iruka to the hospital for proper treatment. Tsunade, go with them. I'll take Naruto to get some ramen. It's about time for my break anyway. Yay! Ramen! Naruto cheered as he ran around the Hokage happily. Everyone, except the ANBU, chuckled at the Uzumaki's antics before they went about their business. Konoha Academy. For the second time in his life, Naruto was early to the academy, and for good reasons this time too. Today was the day that he would be assigned to a team to begin their careers as shinobi of Konoha. He hoped and prayed that he would be put on a team with his friends, and with a sensei that liked him. His thoughts were interrupted when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked up to see Hinata looking at him with concern in her eyes. Hey, are you okay, and Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Naruto smiled and said, don't worry, Hinata-chan, I was just thinking about what teams we were going to be on. I really hope that we're on TT the same team, Hinata said with a blush on her face. Me too, I really hope that neither of us are paired with the team and Banshee, that would suck. I can hear you, you baka. Sakura screeched as she gave a glare at Naruto. And Sasuke-kun is not a team. He's the most wonderful person in the world. Did you hear something, Hinata-chan? Kiba? Shikamaru? How about you, Choji? Or Yoshino? Naruto asked. You say something, Naruto? Kiba asked as he pulled out the earplugs that were in his and Akamaru's ears. ZZZZ, Shikamaru slept through the whole thing. Choji swallowed his chips and said, I didn't hear anything. I thought I heard something, Naruto-san, but I then realized that it was just hot air being blown through the room, Shino said. Everyone stopped what they were doing and started at Shino with wide eyes. Did Shino just make a joke? Kiba asked. Shino frowned and said, I am trying to become more social with all of my friends. Did I say something wrong? No, Naruto reassured. We were just shocked that you made a joke. You're usually a quiet person, so it was a shock to us. I see, perhaps I should become more social with everyone before I start creating jokes. That seems like the most logical thing to do, Shino said. Troublesome, there's just so many surprises today, Shikamaru sighed. Hinata then tapped Naruto on the shoulder, causing him to look over. I saw that there's another small bee bump on your coat. Did you get another H heart? She whispered. Luckily, Kiba was in an argument with Ino and couldn't hear her. Yeah, I'll tell you all about it later, Naruto said. Hinata nodded and leaned back into her chair. Just then Iruka walked in with the support of some crutches. Iruka-sensei, what happened to you? Hinata asked. There was an incident in the village a few days ago, and I got hurt in the process, Iruka told her. But if there was a problem, why didn't they have Sasuke-kun help? Sakura asked, making most of the class roll their eyes at the Kunoichi hopeful's devotion to the Uchiha Scion. Iruka sent her a glare and said because Sakura, the Hokage, wanted all Chunin and above to be involved because of how serious it was. Sakura just blushed and looked away, but the rest of the class was laughing at the pinkhead's embarrassment. Now if you would all kindly shut up now, I'm going to be announcing the teams that have been made. Some of you may not like them, but that's how it's going to be, Iruka said as he placed a clipboard on the podium and began to read off of it. Teams 1 to 6 are unimportant. Team 7 will be made up of Sasuke Uchiha, Iruka began, making every girl go on to the edge of their seats in anticipation. Sakura Haruno. Yes. True love conquers all, Sakura yelled as she stood up on her seat and cheered. Sasuke was crying on the inside because he could already see how annoying this would be. Why does Forehead get to be with Sasuke-kun? It should be me, Ino yelled. Shut it, Ino pig, Sakura growled. Heh, I pity the guy who gets stuck with them, Kiba said as he leaned back into his chair. And Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake, Iruka finished. What? Kiba yelled as he fell out of his chair in shock. Akamaru jumped from the falling boy and landed in Hinata's lap where she began to console the whining pooch. Naruto patted Kiba on the back and said, Good luck, man, I hope you survive. I'm doomed, Kiba wailed as he sunk to his knees. Akamaru let out a howl of despair alongside his partner. I really feel bad for Kiba, but I can't really do anything about it except pray to Kami that it all turns out well for him, Iruka thought as he watched the whole ordeal. Team 8, Iruka began, will be made up of Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga. Please let Naruto-kun / me be on my / Hinata-chan's team, Hinata and Naruto thought simultaneously. And Naruto Uzumaki. Your sensei will be Kurenai Yuhi, Iruka finished, silently thanking Kami for allowing those friends to stay together. Naruto grinned when he heard that he would be with his friends. He turned towards Hinata and gave her a fox-like grin while she just blushed, but had a small smile on her face. Yash! Let's become the best ninja team ever, Hinata-chan, Shino! Naruto declared. Both of them just nodded in agreement. Team 9 is still active from last year, so we're going to move on, Iruka said. Team 10 will be made up of Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka. Your sensei will be Asuma Saratobi. Why am I stuck with these two lazy bums? Ino wailed as she slammed her head on the desk. Iruka then looked at all the kids in his class and said, You'll meet your Jounin senseis after lunch. So be sure to come back here later. It's been a pleasure teaching you all, and I hope to hear great things about you. With that said, he hobbled out of the room, leaving everyone else to their own devices. Jounin Lounge. Kurenai Yuhi was a newly promoted Jounin and was already being assigned a team. She was a young woman with light skin and a slender build. She had long black hair that reached her shoulders and was kept out of her face by her headband. She was wearing an outfit that seemed to be made of bandages while only her right arm was sleeved. Her hands and upper thighs were wrapped in bandages. She sighed as she remembered the events that had happened in the Hokage's office earlier that day. Flashback Sandame's office. Hokage-sama, I believe that there is a problem with the team assignments, Kurenai said as she stood before the Hokage with another Jounin next to her. He was a relatively tall man with silver, spiky, gravity-defying hair. He was wearing the standard Jounin outfit, complete with the vest. The lower half of his face was covered by a mask and his forehead protector was covering his left eye. The right one was lazily reading an orange-covered book while he nodded in agreement. I have to agree with her, Hokage-sama, the Jounin said. Hiruzen sighed. He was expecting this. What seems to be the problem, Kakashi, Kurenai? I formally put in a request to receive a team made out of Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, and Kiba Inuzuka. Instead, I received Naruto Uzumaki instead of Kiba. I wanted the Uzumaki kid instead of the Inuzuka, Kakashi said. Hiruzen rubbed his temples and said, if you got the team you wanted, then both of your teams would have been highly unbalanced. Kurenai was confused. Can you please explain, Hokage-sama? She asked. If you had gotten Kiba instead of Naruto, your team would be greatly underpowered. I understand that the Inuzuka clan has a high skill in taijutsu, but with Naruto, he could last longer in a fight. And I'm sure that he would surprise you in one way or another. As for your team Kakashi, you received Kiba because your team would need a tracker. With Naruto on it instead of Kiba, your team would never be able to track down a target through special means, such as the Inuzuka's relationship with their Niken. But with Naruto on my team, he could form a healthy rivalry with Sasuke and form a bond with him that could keep him tied to the village, Kakashi argued. Hiruzen wanted to punch the man through the wall, but managed to calm himself. That would never work, Hiruzen said. Sasuke hates Naruto, Sakura hates Naruto, and Naruto hates them both. That team would collapse the moment you leave them unsupervised. Besides, I think Kiba would be able to give the Uchiha a nice challenge every once in a while. Kakashi just shrugged and turned the page in his book and said, if that is what you wish, Hokage-sama. He then vanished in a puff of smoke. I'm still unsure about this, Kurenai said. Hiruzen lit his pipe and said, just give it a try, I'm sure you'll like it. Kurenai then vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving the Hokage all alone. Flashback end. Kurenai then got up and walked out of the lounge and made her way to the academy. Might as well get this over with, she muttered. Academy noon. Naruto was sitting between Hinata and Shino as they waited for their sensei. Behind them were Kiba, Shikamaru, and Choji. So when are they going to be here? Naruto asked. Possibly any moment now, Shino said as he watched a beetle crawl across his hand. I hope they get here soon, I'm almost out of chips, Choji said as he popped another one into his mouth. Team 10? A voice called out. Everyone looked to see a tall man wearing a standard Jounin uniform with his hands in his pockets. He had black hair that was connected to his slightly pointed beard. In his mouth was a cigarette that hung loosely. Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino stood up, though Ino was reluctant, and began to walk out of the door. But before they left, Shikamaru looked over his shoulder. I tell you to wish me luck, but that would be too troublesome, he said as he walked out the door. Choji laughed as he followed his friend. I should have expected that from that lazy bum, Naruto said as he shook his head. Does anyone know anything about OR-sensei? Hinata asked. I've never heard of her, Shino said. I think she's a new Jounin, Kiba said, at least that's what I heard from my sister when we were at dinner a few weeks ago. Naruto huffed and said I wanted someone who was world famous. Hinata giggled at his antics, and Shino just rolled his eyes behind his shades. Team 8? A voice asked. The members of said team looked over to see Kurenai standing there waiting for them. Please follow me. See ya later, Kiba, good luck, Naruto said as he and the others ran out of the room. The newly christened Team 8 was meeting in a nearby dango shop. Of course, they were allowed entry after Kurenai had convinced the owner to let them in. Reason why they couldn't enter? Naruto. This made Shino confused because he couldn't see anything wrong with Naruto that would have been a reason to deny him entry. So how about we get to know one another? Kurenai asked as she sat across from her 3 students. What do you want to know? Shino asked. Well, I want to know your likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams for the future, Kurenai said. You know what, I'll start. My name is Kurenai Yuhi. I like genjutsu, my friends, and the village. I dislike perverts and people who think females can't make good kunoichi. My hobbies are gardening, and hanging out with my friend Anko. For the future, I want to become a highly skilled genjutsu user. Now how about you, young lady? Hinata blushed and said, and my name is Hinata H. Hyuga. I like my FA family, Naruto-kun, and S sweet things. I dislike mean people, S seafood, and the caged bee bird seal. And my hobbies are F flower pressing, training, AN spending time W with Naruto-kun. I want to become the H Hyuga head AN abolish the seal. I also want to S start a FF family 01DDDD day. She finished that last part with a major blush and a discreet look at Naruto, but only Kurenai caught it. Very interesting, okay, next is Shino, Korean he said. Shino pushed up his glasses and said, my name is Shino Aburame. I like socializing with people who don't fear me, and insects. I dislike those who harm insects for no reason. My hobbies are practicing my social skills and examining insects. My goal for the future is to become the next Aburame clan head. Kurenai blinked and said, well, that was informative. Okay, Naruto, you finish up. Naruto grinned and began.